Goku's otherworldly journey starting from Naruto. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction, so don't try any techniques you hear here in real life. Your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author, we're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 51, Orochimaru is crazy? Bang! Hinata. Are you okay? Inuzuka Kiba shouted. On the field, Hinata and Zack exchanged a few moves before suddenly, as if struck by a massive object, they flung themselves backward, slamming heavily into a massive tree. Ahem, I'm fine. Hinata wiped the blood from her mouth and stood up. Haha, it seems your strength is just so-so, Zack, who had sent her flying, said with disdain from a distance. His hands had been modified to emit incredibly powerful air-slashing waves, and it was this very attack that had struck Hinata. This air-slashing wave was invisible and generated by controlling ultrasonic waves and air pressure, leaving Hinata completely unaware. Elsewhere, Toss, noticing his teammate's advantage, sneered at his opponent, Aburame Shino. It looks like your other teammate is going to lose too, all three of you, prepare to die. With that, he charged at Aburame Shino. But just as he was halfway through his charge, a teasing voice suddenly echoed nearby, causing him to pause his attack and look towards the source. Kiba, why are you so messed up? Haha, three figures suddenly appeared from a nearby tree, one of them grinning at Inuzuka Kiba. It's you, dizzy and leaning against a tree. Inuzuka Kiba looked in the direction of the voice and immediately saw Naruto speaking, accompanied by Sasuke and Sakura. Hey, Kiba, didn't you say you were so powerful earlier? Why are you so pale now? Naruto leaped down from the tree and approached him, his head in his hands. HMPH. I was careless. And his moves were too bizarre. The usually arrogant Kiba's face flushed, and he glanced away uncomfortably. Oh? How bizarre? Naruto asked curiously. The moment I clashed with him, I suddenly lost my hearing in one ear, and then my head went dark, and I couldn't control my balance, Inuzuka Kiba said solemnly. At this moment, Sakura, who had also jumped down from the tree, looked over and said thoughtfully, from what he's describing, he must have been hit by something that ruptured his eardrum, and the semicircular canals in his inner ear were also affected, which is why he can't control his balance. As a top student, she knew this stuff. Wow! Sakura, you're amazing. You know all that, Naruto exclaimed in amazement. Just then, a cold voice interrupted, so it's you. We were looking for Sasuke among you. Twice ignored Shino Aburame and headed towards Naruto and the others. Sak did the same, turning his attention away from Hinata and walking over with his teammate, Jin. Looking for me, Sasuke, who had remained silent, was puzzled. He didn't even know them, so why would they come to him? But when he saw the sound ninja form protectors worn by the three of them, he had a clue. You're Orochimaru's men, right? Naruto and Sakura's eyes narrowed at these words, remembering the headband Orochimaru wore when he revealed his true identity. The three men before them also wore headbands, likely related to Orochimaru. How did you know? Their identities were suddenly revealed, and Toss and the other two's pupils shrank, their faces filled with disbelief. Their identities were top secret, so how could outsiders possibly know? You don't need to know that, Sasuke said calmly. After a moment's silence, Toss calmed down, looked at Naruto and the other two coldly, and said, if that's the case, then I'll kill you all. As soon as he finished speaking, the eyes of his teammates, Sak and Kin, also turned cold. Sensing the murderous intent emanating from the three opponents, Sasuke curled his lips. Hell, let's give it a try, another fight. That's great, Naruto flexed his fist, looking itchy. The previous battle with Orochimaru had left him feeling incredibly frustrated, and now having a punching bag was just what he needed. Honestly, I'd really like to rest now, but since you've all accepted the challenge, I can't fall behind, Sakura replied after Sasuke and Naruto responded. After 2 months of training and the recent life-or-death struggle, she was no longer the timid little girl in the original story. With the three men's unyielding response, the atmosphere between the two sides became tense, and a fight seemed imminent. Meanwhile, the members of Inuzuka Kiba's team, ignored by the 6 of them, looked at each other in confusion. It was supposed to be their battle, So how could they suddenly become spectators? Naruto, Hinata whispered quietly, observing the familiar yet unfamiliar figure. Suddenly, her eyes focused, and she clenched her fists at the scene before her. Naruto, you must win. On the field, Toss and the other two moved together, attacking Naruto and his men. Among them, Toss went after Sasuke, Sak went after Naruto, and Kin went after Sakura, also a woman. Prepare to die, Sasuke. Toss approached Sasuke, raising his right fist and striking him. HMPH, after this, you'll just have to wait and see, he thought to himself. This punch looked ordinary on the surface, but it actually contained his ultimate killer move. A special device called a porous armor was mounted on his forearm, which could generate invisible sonic waves, paralyzing the opponent's auditory nerves. Previously, he had used this technique to rupture Inuzuka Kiba's eardrum, affecting his inner ear semicircular canals and significantly reducing his combat effectiveness. But just as he was feeling confident, his pupils suddenly constricted. Sasuke had vanished in the blink of an eye. Then, a cold voice rang out from behind him, your speed is no different from a snail's tortoise's. Sasuke had suddenly appeared behind him and delivered a powerful kick. Bang! In an instant, Toss flew outward like a rabbit out of control, slamming into a tree. Meanwhile, Zack raised his hands, pointed his palms at Naruto, and unleashed a powerful, invisible blow. This attack was a more powerful version of the Zack, unleashing an even more formidable, invisible force. Boom! With a resounding explosion, the trees behind Naruto shattered into pieces, falling like celestial flowers. But strangely, Naruto vanished, as if he had evaporated from the spot. No. I missed. Zack's pupils shrank to pinpoints, his mind ablaze with alarm. Sensing impending danger, he prepared to leap away without a second thought. But he was a step too slow. Naruto suddenly appeared beside him, delivering a whip kick to his face. Bang! Blood splattered from his nose, and Zack flew backwards a distance before falling unconscious to the ground. At the same time, Sakura dodged several Senbon attacks from Jin, deftly getting behind him and delivering a powerful knife strike to his neck. Snap! In an instant, Jin's vision went black, and he fell forward, also unconscious. Ahem, you? How could you be so strong? Toss, the strongest of the three, barely managed to retain consciousness after being struck by Sasuke's kick. Watching his companions fall, he felt a surge of absurdity. Such people are taking the Chunin exams. Orochimaru-sama sent them on an assassination mission. Are they crazy, or is Orochimaru-sama crazy? Thanks to Zhang Feiyu, Wei Wude, and Zuheo 1016 for their monthly votes. Chapter 52, all the scrolls are collected and the exam is passed. We surrender. This is yours. Please let us go. After a moment of bewilderment and shock, Toss realized the three men before him were formidable opponents they could not afford to provoke, and he swiftly surrendered. HMPH, forget it this time. Go back and tell Orochimaru I'll challenge him one day. Sasuke took the book of earth and looked at him seriously. What? It's not you, it's me. Naruto was displeased when Sasuke only mentioned himself, and quickly ran over to correct him. He also wanted to wait until his strength increased before challenging Orochimaru for a proper duel. Okay, I understand. A cold sweat broke out on Toss's forehead at the two men's declaration. Even if they were formidable, they would be mortified against someone even more terrifying and powerful than Orochimaru. To think they were going to provoke him with such words. He had already made up his mind not to mention these words to Orochimaru, or else Orochimaru would take his anger out on them. With this thought in mind, he forced himself to stand, carrying his two unconscious companions and quickly departing. After they left, Inuzuka Kiba looked at Naruto and the others with mixed feelings and said, I didn't expect you guys to become so powerful, especially you, Naruto. You seem so unfamiliar to me now. Back in school, Naruto had always been the worst in class, never winning in a sparring match. But now, Naruto's strength had soared beyond his imagination, defeating the guy who had injured Hinata with a single move. Hey, didn't I tell you I'm going to get first place in this exam? Naruto chuckled, rubbing his head. Being praised always made people feel good, and he was no exception. HMPH, maybe it's possible, Inuzuka Kiba chuckled, but then changed the subject. But I won't admit defeat. I won't admit you can beat me before we actually fight. Even though he felt Naruto might be stronger than him, he was never one to give in easily. Okay, I'll wait, Naruto replied cheerfully. Well, we've collected all the scrolls. Should we head to the tower right away? Sakura asked Naruto and Sasuke. After retrieving the Book of Earth from Toss, they had completed their scroll collecting mission for this exam now. All they had to do was reach the tower at the same time to pass the second exam. Kiba Inuzuka and the other two, who had come for the scrolls, had no problem with their possession of the Book of Earth, nor did they challenge them to a duel. After all, with the exception of Shinobu, one of them was slightly injured, and the other had lost most of their combat power. There was no way they could defeat them. Okay, I've been here long enough, Naruto agreed without hesitation. Sure, Sasuke nodded, glancing at the sky. At our speed, we should be there by sunset. He also disliked this insect-infested place and couldn't agree more about leaving. Reaching a consensus, the three waved goodbye to Kiba Inuzuka and the others. We're leaving, haha. Kiba, you've got to pass this exam, or you won't even stand a chance against me. And Hinata and Shino, you guys have to do your best too. Naruto said goodbye to everyone with a wide grin. HMPH, of course. Inuzuka. Kiba raised his lips. Okay, Naruto. Hinata, who had been silent until then, blushed and murmured softly when Naruto called her. As for Aburame Shino, she nodded in response with a cool smile. After Naruto and the others left, he watched Naruto's retreating figure, his eyes gleaming behind his sunglasses. Naruto, you've changed a lot. During the first exam, when Naruto unleashed his Sun Fist, Sasuke and Sakura, who had prepared for it, were not blinded. Even with his sunglasses on, he was not blinded, and saw everything Naruto did. However, he was a quiet person, and since he saw Ibiki, who had discovered the truth, conceal it, he never mentioned it to anyone. After witnessing Naruto's impressive prowess, he put the two things together and couldn't help but become curious about him. What on earth had happened to Naruto to cause such a change? Hey, our luck finally turned. We got the Book of Earth so quickly, Naruto said with a beaming smile on his face as they made their way to the tower. After exploring the reasons for Goku's absence, they'd randomly chosen a direction to see if any other teams in the area possessed the Book of Earth. Unexpectedly, they barely set off when they heard the sounds of fighting nearby. They followed the sounds and saw what had happened. "Yet, I hope everything goes well," Sakura agreed. They'd been in the Forest of Death for only a few hours, like the other teams, but the experiences they'd endured were far more dangerous and thrilling than any other. Just taking the encounter with Orochimaru alone, most other teams would have been defeated in a single encounter, yet they'd managed to hold out for so long, even hoping to seriously injure the enemy, as they thought they would, only for Goku's intervention. Of course, they didn't complain about Goku, believing he had his reasons for intervening. Furthermore, it took three of them to hold their own against Orochimaru, which was truly humiliating. Goku's intervention would give them time to improve their strength, enabling them to face Orochimaru single-handedly one day. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just then, three sounds of air-piercing approached from afar. "Another blind fellow has arrived," Sasuke glanced at Naruto and said, "I'll leave it to you this time. I'm too lazy to fight." From his perspective, the incoming enemy wasn't moving very fast, so they were likely not worthy opponents. He wanted to fight someone who could help him improve his strength. "Tisk, lazy bastards," Naruto grumbled, then charged towards the three uninvited visitors who had arrived. He hadn't fought enough before, and he hoped these three would give him a good beating. Bang, bang, bang. Clap, clapping. Soon, Naruto and his two companions were no longer there. Only three pig-headed extras lay on the ground, looking as if they were questioning their lives. "He's so young, how can he be so strong? I don't know, is he using us as punching bags? Probably. Otherwise, with his strength, he should have defeated us long ago. Why would he do that? Doesn't he know that a warrior can be killed but not humiliated? That's right, then you two go after him and let him kill you. Forget it, I think being a Shanan would be just fine. I'm withdrawing from this exam and won't be taking it again." "Yes, I second that." X2 Naruto left, unaware that his recent blow had traumatized the three candidates, who had failed the exam multiple times and were preparing to remain Shanan for the rest of their lives. He, Sasuke, and Sakura were now hurrying towards the tower. After more than half an hour of travel, the tower finally came into view. "We're here. Today is Chinese Valentine's Day, my girlfriend said to me. Honey, let's go on a date. I've already booked a room." I resolutely refused. "No. My readers are still waiting for me. How can I let them down? You go on a date by yourself. I need to write." My girlfriend slapped me. "Just write, You live with your readers, brothers. After I have paid so much, can you give me some more votes to comfort my wounded heart? Chapter 53, Meeting between Orochimaru and Danzo. In a dark basement in Konoha village, two cunning men were discussing something. Orochimaru, what brings you to me at this hour? Danzo looked at the newly arrived Orochimaru expressionlessly. Although he and Orochimaru had collaborated on numerous occasions, that didn't mean their relationship was close. They had only come together for their own benefit, and their usual collaboration was based on mutual exploitation. Beyond that, they were simply strangers going their separate ways. Haha, Danzo, the Konoha destruction plan is about to begin. It's only natural for me to come to you to discuss matters. Orochimaru licked his lips, a sinister smile playing. He knew it would be difficult to obtain information from Danzo, so he avoided direct communication and instead beat around the bush. Oh? Is there anything else you want to discuss? Danzo asked calmly, but in his heart, he began to speculate on Orochimaru's true motive. He didn't believe Orochimaru had suddenly sought him out for this matter, considering the general plan had already been discussed. Even if there were still some minor details left undecided, it wouldn't be necessary for Orochimaru to come and discuss them in person. Haha, Danzo, you won't have to do much for this plan. You'll just have to reap the fruits of your labor in secret. Unlike me, I have to fight to the death with this old man and the fourth Kazekage. Think about it, it's so easy, Orochimaru said sinisterly. So? I've already promised you a large amount of experimental resources and funds afterward, so that you can get the rewards you deserve. What else do you want? Danzo narrowed his eyes, responding as he thought to himself, this guy, maybe he thinks his last promise wasn't enough and wants to ask for more. When formulating the plan, he had promised Orochimaru that if this plan resulted in Sarutobi Hiruzen's death and he became Hokage, he would provide experimental funds and various living resources as compensation for his efforts in the plan. However, despite this promise, he didn't really want to follow through. This promise was meant to reassure Orochimaru and ensure the smooth implementation of the plan. But his real intention was, Orochimaru would ideally perish alongside Sarutobi Hiruzen. Then, he could receive all of Sarutobi Hiruzen's experimental data, allowing his own body transformation to proceed more smoothly. I need you to give me some funds in advance, Orochimaru replied. How much do you want? 20 million ryo? Impossible. Danzo was nearly livid at this figure. His Shimura clan wasn't a large one, so how could he possibly have so much money to give before becoming Hokage? And even if he did, he wouldn't have given it all at once. Forget about the money. I won't give it to you until our plan succeeds. Besides, there's no use for you having this money now. Why would you want it? Of course I need it for something, and it's for our plan. Seeing that Danzo had fallen for it, Orochimaru began to get to the point. For the plan, yes, I'm going to use this money to investigate someone who might affect our plan. Who? A man named Son Goku. Upon hearing Orochimaru's answer, Danzo narrowed his eyes, his mind racing. In an instant, he grasped Orochimaru's true purpose. So all the twists and turns were for this very reason. The other party had clearly guessed he had information on Goku, hence their pursuit. They hadn't asked directly for it because they knew he wouldn't give it easily. With all this preparation, it was difficult for him to refuse. If he shamelessly refused, or offered it only after putting in conditions, it would create a rift between them and him, and what would happen if the plan didn't go according to plan? The other party could wait and gather the experimental resources and funds, but he couldn't wait even a single moment longer for the position of Hokage. After staring at Orochimaru for a moment, Danzo said to trusted subordinate, go and fetch us the information on Son Goku. Yes, sir. Orochimaru smiled softly at the scene and said nothing more. After all, his goal had been achieved, and any further words would have irritated Danzo into withholding the information. Shortly after, as he finished reviewing the information and left Danzo's location, a glint flashed in his eyes. Even Danzo can't figure out his origins. Son Goku, who exactly are you? It seems the whole plan needs some changes. Elsewhere, in a room high in the Death Forest Tower. This is the situation, Hokage-sama. Anko, the chief examiner of the second exam, said to Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him. As in the original story, several Chunin patrolling the exam hall discovered the three dead Kusunin and reported them to Anko. Anko, who arrived shortly after, immediately concluded that the disappearance of the deceased's faces could only be caused by the facial destruction technique. The only person who knew this jutsu was its inventor, her former teacher, the renegade ninja Orochimaru. So she immediately set out to the forest of death to seek him out, prepared to die together with him. While she was searching, Orochimaru, having retreated from Goku, happened to be looking for her, and the paths naturally crossed. After teaching his former student a lesson, Orochimaru threatened her to stop the exam or he would destroy Konoha. He did this because his plan to abduct Sasuke had failed. The best time to successfully abduct Sasuke would be when Konoha's plan to destroy it was activated. Okay, I understand. The exam will proceed as normal. I'll have people keep a close eye on Orochimaru, Sarutobi Hiruzen said slowly after a moment of contemplation. He felt a surge of regret. Why had he let Orochimaru off back then, leading to the current troubles facing Konoha? Was he truly too old to be Hokage? Just as he was lost in thought, Anko, standing beside him, suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "Huh? Are all the students this year so fast? These little brats actually finished the exam too." Before her eyes, several surveillance screens monitored every movement below the tower. Every time a student arrived, it was recorded. 2 teams had already arrived and passed the exam, both breaking previous records. And now, this third team had also broken records, leaving her in awe. Are these students this year truly a collection of exceptional talent? They're also skilled. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen snapped back to his senses and glanced at the screen. Once he saw the 3 people clearly, his frown, which had been lingering over Orochimaru's situation, relaxed, a faint smile spreading across his face. It's Naruto and the others. Some readers commented in the comments section that they had assumed Naruto was the protagonist due to the title, and hadn't wanted to read it until they discovered Goku was the protagonist. Others said they wanted to see Naruto learn some skills and then show off and get slapped in the face. So, I'm curious, are you reading this book for Goku himself, or for Naruto's witty slapping of others? If you're reading it for Goku, please deduct 1 in the comments section. If you're reading it for Naruto's slapping of others, please deduct 2. If you're reading it for something else, please tell me what it is. I hope you'll leave lots of comments. Chapter 54, The Upcoming Preliminaries, Goku and the Third Generations Meeting. Hey. We're the third to arrive, damn. I thought we'd take first place, Naruto exclaimed in the tower, having learned from Anko that 2 teams had already passed the exam ahead of them. HMPH, don't be ungrateful, kid. It's impressive that you passed the exam so quickly. The previous record was 4 hours, and you only took a little over 2, Anko grumbled, arms folded. Then who took first place? How long did it take them? Naruto stared at Anko, eager to know who had snatched first place from him. It's us, Naruto. We got here in an hour and a half. Before Anko could reply, a voice suddenly boomed from above. Naruto looked up and saw a familiar figure. Thick eyebrows. It's you. Rock Lee and his teammate, Niji, were in the hallway on the 2nd floor of the tower, a place they often appeared in. Snap. Rock Lee flipped down from above, approached Naruto, and gave him a thumbs up. Naruto, I was right, wasn't I? First place doesn't necessarily belong to you. Look, we took first place in the 2nd exam, tisk. Thick eyebrows, don't be so conceited. This was just an accident, Naruto protested. If they hadn't encountered Orochimaru, first place would have been theirs. Since many teams were still struggling to collect scrolls in the Forest of Death, and the 2nd exam lasted 5 days, Naruto and his team settled in the tower to wait it out. 5 days later. Due to the large number of people who passed the 2nd exam, an additional preliminary round will be held before the 3rd exam begins. Inside the tower, the sickly-looking Gekao Hayate, the chief examiner of the 3rd exam, announced to the 21 candidates who had passed. There were 28 teams competing in the 2nd exam, but only 7 remain: Kabuto Yakashi's team, Gaara's team, the nameless Rain Ninja team, and the 4 teams from the original manga's 12. It's worth noting that in the original manga, 7 teams also passed the exam, but the Rain Ninja team wasn't among them. Instead, Orochimaru's Toss team made it. This time, for unknown reasons, Toss's team failed, while the Rain Ninja team, who were supposed to die at Gaara's hands, luckily passed. When do the preliminaries begin? The Rain Ninjas shouted. They had just finished the 2nd exam and were exhausted, desperately hoping for a later start. However, as fears often lead to consequences, they are truly realized. Moonlight Gale glanced at them and replied, since many distinguished guests will be attending the main event, and most of them have already arrived in the village, time is of the essence and we can't keep them waiting any longer. Therefore, I declare the preliminaries to begin now. What? The three rain ninjas were struck by lightning. Besides them, Shikamaru, Inuzuka Kiba, and others who had recently passed the exam also blinked. Hey, you're kidding? Shikamaru's eyes drooped, feeling exhausted and even considering giving up the competition. But the thought of the consequences of giving up forced him to give up the idea. HMPH, preliminaries or not, as long as it's a match, I'm going to win. Unlike those saying, Naruto was full of fighting spirit. He'd rested enough in the past few days and couldn't wait for the competition to begin. Soon after, just like in the original story, Kabuto voluntarily withdrew from the competition, bringing the number of examinees to 20. So, the preliminaries would be 2-on-2 matches, with the winners advancing to the finals. As the names on the big screen randomly flickered, the first match list was announced: Uzumaki Naruto vs Kankuro, Naruto's first match. And who's Kankuro? The guy he's going to face. Sakura, sitting in the spectator booth, glanced around, trying to figure out who Naruto's opponent was. HMPH, it's me, a cold snort suddenly echoed, and Kankuro stepped forward, his expression grim as he stared at the big screen. His luck was truly terrible, running into this tough guy so soon. PFFT. It's you, Sakura said, covering her mouth with her hand as she laughed. No wonder the name sounded familiar to her, it was the guy they'd had a disagreement with before. Though his name had been called out once, she'd long since forgotten him, so she didn't react at first. Hey, you clown-faced guy, you're not scared, are you? Come down and fight me. Naruto, already on the playing field, looked towards the stands and shouted, pointing at Kankuro. He was delighted to have his first fight, eager to showcase his prowess before everyone, hence his urging. HMPH. Stop looking down on me. In this fight, I'll show you my true strength. Kankuro's face darkened at Naruto's provocation, and he quickly leaped onto the field. At this moment, he had decided to teach this arrogant fellow a lesson, to show him that he was no pushover. Just as the two stood in the arena, waiting for the chief examiner, Gekko Heiei, to give the signal for the match to begin, swish. Two figures suddenly appeared in the stands behind Sakura and Sasuke. Huh? Looks like we've made it. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief, watching the match unfold before it even began. Because the preliminaries weren't known until after the second exam, there was no way to know in advance. So, upon learning of the event, he immediately rushed back to the village to inform Goku. After all, Goku was Naruto and the others' teacher, and he couldn't be absent at this moment. Wow, you two haven't started yet. Goku ruffled Sakura's hair, patted Sasuke's shoulder, and smiled innocently at Naruto in the arena. It's not our turn yet, Goku-sensei, Sakura responded, then slapped Goku's hand away, angrily saying, also, Goku-sensei, could you please stop rubbing my head? You're messing up my hairstyle? Her hair was held in place by a forehead protector, and Goku's rubbing had caused it to shift considerably. Haha, sorry, Goku said sheepishly, rubbing his head. He'd been rubbing Sakura's hair because she bore a striking resemblance to his granddaughter, Xiaofang. Not only were they about the same age, but their personalities were also quite similar, to the point that every time he saw Sakura, he felt as if he saw his granddaughter, and couldn't help but rub her hair. Ahem, Goku-sensei, you're here too. How are you? At that moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen, noticing Goku's appearance, approached with a kind smile. Besides those close to Goku, like Kakashi and Naruto, he knew Goku best in Konoha. And the more he knew about him, the more he valued him. Especially after learning about what happened a month ago, his regard for Wukong has skyrocketed, and any hidden concerns he once had have completely vanished. I'm testing the waters today, and I'm begging everyone to support me by reading along over the next few days, especially next Tuesday. Whether I'll advance to the next round will depend on the data next Tuesday. Please support me, as the success of this book depends on you all. P.S. If you want to read this, just stay on the page for about a minute and then scroll down to the bottom. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Naruto is going to lose? Ha, it's you, Sarutobi-san. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's greeting, Goku glanced sideways and smiled in response. He'd always followed the local customs, calling him Hokage-sama, just like Kakashi did. But about a month ago, he'd suddenly declared himself a foreigner and shouldn't address him the same way as everyone else, asking him to simply call him Sarutobi-sama. Though initially a little surprised by the change in address, he'd never taken such matters to heart, so, never mind, just went along with it. Haha, Goku-sama, you're here to watch Naruto and the others match, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen approached Goku, a smile beaming. Who's this guy? It feels like the Hokage-sama is being so polite to him, Choji observed curiously from a distance. I don't know, maybe some kind of VIP, Shikamaru said lazily, glancing casually. Beside them, Asuma discreetly glanced at his father chatting and laughing with Goku, thinking to himself, old man, is this the mysterious figure of immense power you told me about? Haha, fine, then let's watch together. After confirming Goku was there to watch the match, Sarutobi Hiruzen promptly ended his conversation, as the match had officially begun. Ahem, the first qualifying match begins. On the field, after explaining the rules, Gekko Hayate announced the start of the match. I'll show you what happens if you underestimate me. Kankuro casually placed a long object on his back on the ground and glared at Naruto fiercely. Huh? But Naruto ignored his harsh words, looking at him in confusion, then at the bandaged object on the ground. How come this guy has no chi, while that strange object does? He could sense no chi emanating from Kankuro, yet the object on the ground was pulsating with it, leaving him baffled. Goku had told him that any living thing possessed ki. Could it be that the Kankuro before him wasn't a living being? And that the long object was hiding something alive? His guess was correct. The Kankuro before him was indeed not a living being, but a puppet in Kankuro's guise. The real Kankuro was currently hiding within the long object, controlling his puppet, the crow, to confuse Naruto. When the time came, he would use it to deliver a fatal blow. Hey, are you scared? Seeing that Naruto didn't attack immediately, but instead kept gazing at his true form, Kankuro's heart tightened and he challenged him. For him, taking the initiative wasn't the best strategy. Letting the opponent initiate the attack, then striking suddenly when they came into close contact with his puppet was the most energy-saving and optimal method. But now, that strategy seemed to be failing, as the opponent seemed to have noticed something strange about him. Damn it, he can't possibly realize my true form is hiding here, Kankuro cursed inwardly. His disguise was flawless. Only someone extremely familiar with him, or someone more skilled in puppetry than he, could possibly detect the oddity in the puppet's stiffness and reveal his true form. But the man opposite him was neither of those, so it was only natural that he shouldn't be able to detect it. Unbeknownst to him, Naruto possessed a powerful sense of aura. No matter how hard he tried to hide it, his aura was like a guiding light, completely revealing his true form. HMPH, I was just thinking about how to defeat you. Then, after a long moment of doubt, Naruto had an idea. Whatever strange thing it was. If he could blast that long object emitting aura apart, he'd know what lay hidden within. With this thought in mind, he quickly gathered a ki bullet in his hand, raised his hand, and whoosh. The ki bullet shot straight at the long object on the ground like a bullet. What is that? Kankuro's pupils shrank at the incoming ki bullet. Given the short distance between them, and the ki bullet's swift speed, controlling the puppet to carry off the true form was too late. His true form was forced to emerge from the bandages and quickly evade the attack. Boom! With a single explosion, the ki bullet instantly blasted a half-meter wide crater where he had been. Huh? Thank goodness I didn't rush the crow to block it. Kankuro breathed a sigh of relief upon witnessing the power of the ki bullet. He had considered using the crow puppet to block it, but that would have likely damaged it. As a puppeteer, his full power depended on this one puppet. If it were damaged and unable to be controlled, how could he possibly win the match? In the stands, many were equally shocked by Naruto's ki bullet. What kind of ninjutsu is this? When did Naruto learn this? Inuzuka Kiba instinctively asked his companion. I don't know, but he didn't form any hand seals, so it can't be a ninjutsu, Aburame Shino replied. That's not right. Some jutsu don't require hand seals, known as seal-free jutsu. Naruto must have used one of these. Their instructor, Kyorna Iyuli, corrected them, a bit puzzled. Is this the fourth Hokage's Rasengan? Why doesn't it feel like it? Not far away, is this ki? Its fluctuations are quite similar to chakra, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought to himself as he felt the ripples of the ki bomb's explosion. Although he had heard of ki from Kakashi, he had never experienced it up close. This was his first time truly feeling this energy. Meanwhile, seeing Kankuro's true form revealed so quickly, Temari frowned, worried for her brother. But her frown soon relaxed, and she smiled faintly at the scene. This time, Kankuro's a sure winner. On the field, after Kankuro revealed his true form, Naruto pointed at him and his crow puppet and exclaimed in surprise, "Wow, you were hiding in here. And what about this you?" Both regular clones and shadow clones possess a certain amount of ki, but Kankuro's crow puppet had none, leaving him unable to discern what it was. HMPH, I didn't expect you to find me. Let it show you a proper hello. With a cold snort from Kankuro, the crow puppet suddenly revealed its true form, then opened its arms and fired a black marble to Naruto's left and right. Hey, what are these? Naruto was still curious about the revealed crow puppet when he saw three unassuming creatures shooting towards him. Sensing no threat from them, he was left perplexed. What were these three things doing? Bang! 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 Before he could even think, three marbles appeared in front of him and to either side, exploding with a bang. Is this poisonous smoke? In the spectator stands, Sakura clutched the railing, her eyes widening at the sudden appearance of three plumes of purple-black smoke. She'd been wondering what those three black bullets were for, but she hadn't expected them to be anything like this. This despicable fellow can't win, so he resorts to underhanded tactics, huh? She gritted her teeth, realizing what was happening. Sakura, true ninja combat is so treacherous. Not only do they release poisonous smoke, but even smearing poison on weapons is commonplace. Kakashi observed the scene from the sidelines, his face solemn. As long as we can win, any underhanded or cunning tactic is a good one. I saw everyone's comments yesterday, and it seems like most people are here for Goku. Of course, a large portion of them are also here for Naruto's growth. I think that's great, because Goku is the protagonist of this book. If it weren't for him, it would have definitely flopped. Besides Goku, Naruto's growth is also a big topic, so there will be a lot of details about him. The current plot can be said to be roughly the same as the original, with a Chunin exam, but the details are definitely different, such as Orochimaru's failure to cast the curse seal that I wrote about earlier. So the specific plot of the Chunin exam and the subsequent Konoha collapse plan will be changed, so you can look forward to it. And then after that, the plot will be completely different from the original, so you can also look forward to it. Finally, please read. Chapter 56 Wukong, it still has to be you. Naruto, is he poisoned? Sakura, watching Naruto's continued lack of escape from the poisonous smoke, said with concern from the viewing platform. With his speed, even if the smoke had enveloped over 10 meters, breaking through it would only take a moment. How could he have been unable to escape for so long? Don't worry, Naruto's smart. He won't fall for it so easily. Beside her, Goku folded his arms, gazing out at the arena with a smile. On the field, Kankuro, upon seeing Naruto engulfed in his own poisonous smoke, wore a look of triumph. How, after inhaling my poisonous smoke, no matter how strong you are, you're doomed to defeat me, he smirked as he manipulated his crow puppet to open its mouth. Within, several poisonous needles, tinged with ominous green, were visible, poised to fire. Once you emerge, I'll give you a few more. I guarantee you'll wail in pain and beg for mercy right then and there. He focused his gaze intently on the area surrounding the poisonous smoke, ready to deliver the fatal blow should the opponent escape. Meanwhile, within the poisonous smoke, Naruto pinched his nose, his wide eyes scanning the surrounding area. This guy actually pulled a trick like that. Luckily, I reacted quickly and didn't breathe a single breath. Although he hadn't sensed danger from the smoke bomb earlier, he was still secretly wary. After all, the enemy wouldn't resort to useless tactics. So, after the smoke bomb exploded, he immediately held his breath, not inhaling a single breath of the smoke. Having ensured his own safety, he didn't rush out, but simply stood quietly within the smoke. Goku-sensei said that ki has many uses, one of which is to transform it into tangible force and project it outward. That time when we dealt with Cardo's men, Goku-sensei used this move to send them flying. Then, I can also use this move to disperse this poisonous smoke, or even send it back towards Kankuro, letting him experience what it feels like. The reason he didn't rush out was because this sudden intuition had struck him. Rather than being chased around by the opponent's poisonous smoke, it would be better to return all his attacks to them, to fight them in their own way. With this thought, he curled his lips and began to build up his ki, preparing to launch a sudden outward attack when it reached its peak. Outside, Kankuro, already preparing his second attack, began to wonder, could this guy have simply been knocked unconscious by the poisonous smoke? He clearly remembered that his poisonous smoke wasn't that potent. Could it be that this guy wasn't really that strong, and was he just hallucinating? He glanced at the referee, Moonlight Gale, and saw a strange expression on his face, but he didn't seem to be declaring the match over. So he turned back to watch the poisonous smoke. Suddenly, a low roar erupted from the smoke. The next moment, boom. The smoke suddenly boiled over, rapidly spreading outward like a raging flood. Anyone directly above the smoke would have seen a blank spot, like the eye of a storm, suddenly appear in its center. At the blank spot, Naruto appeared, radiating a white aura. Whoosh! The poisonous smoke, driven by the inexplicably powerful air current at the center, spread rapidly, quickly reaching Kankuro. What? Kankuro's face trembled with shock. Could his opponent possibly possess wind style? Shocked, he retreated at top speed. As the creator of the poisonous smoke, he knew its power. While it wouldn't kill, it could certainly land someone in the hospital. What a reckless guy! Moonlight Gale, standing on the sidelines, saw the smoke spreading toward him and swung his sword. Whoosh! The air current from the sword swing instantly focused the smoke, sending it outwards of the tower. However, a large portion lingered within the arena, surging towards the spectators. Kakashi, watching the smoke spread, attempted to use wind style to blow it away. But someone nearby was faster than him. Whoosh! Goku took a deep breath and blew it out. The next moment, a powerful gust of air suddenly arose, sweeping all the poisonous smoke out of the tower with lightning speed. Kakashi paused his hand seals and jokingly looked at Goku. Goku, it's you? He had never seen anyone else use this simple and crude technique except Goku. Haha. After receiving Kakashi's praise, Goku rubbed his nose with a smile. After the poisonous smoke had completely dissipated, Moonlight Gale glanced at Goku, then at Kankuro, who had retreated to a corner, barely avoiding the smoke. Poisonous smoke is prohibited in the next matches, unless you can guarantee it won't affect anyone else in the arena. If this were an open-air arena, the poisonous smoke could be used and quickly dissipated. But this was a relatively enclosed arena, with only a single entrance to the outside world, making it difficult to disperse. If affected, such as the gust of air Naruto had just created, the smoke would spread rapidly throughout the arena, easily affecting others. HMPH, got it, Kankuro replied impatiently, wiping the sweat from his forehead. He'd nearly inhaled the poisonous smoke just moments before, but someone had blew it away. But at this moment, he didn't care who had helped him. To him, such help was a humiliation. How could a poisoner nearly be poisoned by their own poison, especially because of their opponent? You bastard, I'm going to kill you. He watched as the poisonous smoke dissipated, and Naruto, standing there with a V sign at the spectators without even a glance, was furious. Was this guy defying him? With new and old grudges compounding, his rage reached a fever pitch, and he controlled his crow puppet to launch a fierce attack on Naruto. Black secret technique, mouth kunai, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the crow puppet charged, it suddenly unleashed 3 kunai from its mouth at a higher rate of speed. These kunai, with a clanging sound, not only flew towards Naruto but also blocked his escape space on either side. Where are you going? Kankuro's lips curled. But the next moment, his smile froze. Naruto, sensing his incoming attack, suddenly bent his legs. Bang! His body launched into the air like a rocket, perfectly dodging all of his attacks. Then, like an eagle swooping down, Naruto swooped down, closing in on the crow puppet at breakneck speed. From above the crow puppet, he suddenly raised his right foot and delivered a powerful downward strike, aiming for its head. It all happened so quickly that Kankuro barely had time to react before Naruto's attack impacted the crow puppet's head. Bang! The crow puppet was pinned to the ground by Naruto's blow. The next second, several cracking sounds were heard, and cracks appeared on the crow puppet's sturdy head, rapidly spreading and expanding. Crash! In a moment, the crow puppet's head, like Kankuro's heart, shattered into dozens of pieces, scattering across the ground. Hey! What are you doing? Use them all. This stuff is not enough for me. Naruto scratched the tip of his nose with his thumb, his face full of confidence. Chapter 57 Naruto, Sakura, is there sand in your eyes? Damn it! This is my treasure, and you dared to break it. Kankuro's eyes blazed with anger as he watched his beloved possession being destroyed by Naruto. It was the first puppet he'd ever used. Though he hadn't made it himself, he'd poured so much effort into it that it was now his most cherished possession. He hadn't expected it to be so brutally attacked today. Sorry, I used a little too much force. Naruto patted his head, apologizing sincerely. After spending so much time with Goku, he'd unknowingly picked up on his infuriating expressions and gestures. You idiot, just apologize. Kankuro lowered his head, his body trembling slightly, as if his rage at the puppet's destruction was too much to control. But beneath his bowed head, a sinister smile suddenly played on his lips, and he silently finished his sentence. That's not enough. Whoosh! The crow puppet in front of Naruto suddenly stirred. From its shattered head, a retractable spike shot out at Naruto with lightning speed. A shimmering green light reflected from the spike, clearly coated in poison. HMPH, only then did Kankuro raise his head, a smug smile on his face. His crow puppet's head might have been shattered by a kick, but that didn't mean it couldn't move. Naruto's body tensed at the sudden blow. He hadn't expected it to move even with its head shattered. Without a second thought, his body sprang into action, narrowly avoiding the attack with a most efficient evasive maneuver. At that moment, Goku's training in dodging rocks began to pay off. Damn it, he dodged it. Seeing Naruto dodge his attack again, Kankuro clenched his fists in frustration. To ensure this attack was successful, he had deliberately exaggerated his anger to confuse Naruto. But he hadn't expected that even if the opponent had been bewitched by him, they would still be able to evade his sure-win attack. Phew. That was a close call. Naruto, having dodged the sudden attack, put some distance between himself and the crow puppet, breathing a sigh of relief. You're such a nuisance. I don't want to play games with you anymore. He had originally intended to slowly spar with the opponent, to see if he had any moves he could learn, but he'd discovered that the opponent was only using these poisonous and underhanded tactics, which he had absolutely no need to learn. It's worth noting that his desire to slowly spar with the opponent stemmed from something Goku had once said to him. It was this: Naruto, the purpose of fighting others isn't just to determine who's better, but also to learn from them and become stronger. Only in this way can we continuously improve and face more powerful opponents. Recalling these words, Naruto thought to himself, Goku-sensei, I don't see anything I can learn from this guy. Let's not waste our time. With that thought, he kicked off with his right foot, and shot towards Kankuro like an arrow from a bow. Seeing him coming, Kankuro quickly manipulated his crows to block him. Damn it! If the poison needle launcher hadn't been broken, he wouldn't have been able to dodge it. Kankuro was still brooding over the failure of his previous attack. He believed that if the poison cone attack had been replaced with a faster, more stealthy poison needle attack, Naruto would have been unable to dodge it. Boom! Just as he was distracted, Naruto launched a ki blast, sending the crow puppet flying. Then, as Naruto's pupils suddenly dilated, he kicked him away. Boom! With immense force, he arced through the air before slamming into the wall, his head tilting and losing consciousness. Kankuro, Temari, observing this sudden change, quickly scrambled down to check on Kankuro, and was relieved to find him unconscious. Gekko Heiei then arrived to check on Kankuro. Finding him incapacitated, he announced, first preliminary match, Uzumaki Naruto wins. As soon as he finished speaking, Naruto raised his hand high and happily shouted to Goku and the others, I won, ha ha ha. Although his opponent wasn't strong, this was his first match, and it held great significance, so he was overjoyed. Not bad, Naruto, a good start. Sakura complimented him with a beaming smile as he hopped onto the viewing platform. That's all thanks to Goku-sensei's good teaching, he said, grinning at Goku. Cough cough cough. As he finished speaking, Kakashi, standing nearby, began coughing violently, as if he had an asthma attack. Watching Sakura wink at him frantically, Naruto asked in confusion, Sakura, is there sand in your eyes? Why do you keep blinking? Sakura slapped her forehead, her face filled with frustration. This guy, sometimes he seemed quite clever, how could he be so clueless now? After Naruto and Kankuro's match ended, the names continued to flash on the big screen, and the lineup for the second match was quickly confirmed. Ten versus Omega Cure, your teammate? I'd really like to see her strength, Naruto thought to himself, glancing at Rock Lee, who was chatting with my guy not far away. Rock Lee had previously mentioned that his teammates were all very strong, so he was now very curious about Tenten's abilities. Soon, the match began. Under the barrage of ninja tools summoned by Tenten from her scrolls, A mega cure was soon covered in wounds and yelled, "Give up, that's quite an interesting attack," Goku said, folding his arms in amusement as he watched Tenten's attacks. "Really? But I find it rather boring. A physical fistfight is more fun," Naruto frowned. He had expected Rock Lee's teammate to be a formidable melee fighter, but he was surprised to see her using ninja tools for ranged attacks the entire time. After Jickout Gale announced Tenten's victory, the big screen continued to draw the names, Rock Lee vs Ken Misumi. Wow, it's Thick Eyebrow's turn. Naruto's face lit up with excitement upon seeing the name. He hadn't fought his opponent since their last encounter over 2 weeks ago, and he wondered how much stronger he'd become. Beside him, Goku was also looking forward to the match. "Burn your youth, Rock Lee." "Yes, Master Guy, I will definitely burn my youth," with a click. After a passionate exchange with Might Guy, Rock Lee effortlessly leaped onto the field. He gave a thumbs up to his opponent nearby, a man wearing round-rimmed glasses and obscuring his lower half of his face, flashing his brilliant white teeth. "I'm Rock Lee, and I look forward to fighting you." Across from him, Ken Misumi, Orochimaru's spy in Konoha, was also eager to prove herself superior to Kabuto. However, he wasn't looking forward to fighting Rock Lee, but rather to winning the match and showcasing his prowess in the finals, earning Orochimaru's approval of his strength and the fact that he was superior to Kabuto. At that moment, he felt a surge of disdain as he gazed at the strange-looking figure in front of him, with a bowler haircut and green tights. Can someone like this, who only seeks attention, become a ninja? Thinking of this, he looked at Rock Lee and sneered, "Rock Lee, are you ready to lose to me? Yesterday, I was writing the writer's words, so the update was late. I'll post it early today. And tomorrow is a very important day. Tomorrow's follow-up reading data will determine whether this book will be recommended in the next round, so I beg everyone to read it tomorrow." Chapter 58 Wukong exclaims. "This guy's quite arrogant, but I wonder if his skills match his boasts." In the stands, Sasuke, who had rarely spoken before, let a sneer curl his lips at the corner of his mouth. As a rival who had once fought Rock Lee to a draw, he wouldn't tolerate such boasts unless the opponent truly possessed the skill. On the court, Rock Lee sensed the deep disdain in Ken Chang's words, but he didn't care. To him, such verbal attacks were meaningless, because the real results came in the form of actual combat. "I declare the third qualifying match officially open," Moonlight Gale commanded from the sidelines. Whoosh! The moment he finished speaking, Ken Chang rushed over to Rock Lee with the swiftness of a leopard, swinging his fist at him. HMPH, this is called striking first, gaining the upper hand. A rookie like you wouldn't understand, Ken Chang sneered inwardly. Faced with this sudden attack, Rock Lee showed no sign of panic. He simply thrust his fist forward, preparing to meet his opponent's blow. Crack! However, the expected fist clash sound didn't occur. Instead, a sound resembling a high five rang out. "What's this?" Rock Lee's pupils suddenly constricted, as if he had witnessed something incredible. Just as Ken Chang's fist was about to make contact with his, her entire arm suddenly lengthened and softened, then quickly wrapped around his arm like a snake. The scene was so unexpected that his mind went blank for a moment. By the time he realized what was happening, Ken Chang had already pressed her entire body against his back, her limbs entwined around him like snakes. One limb had even wrapped around his neck, attempting to break it. "Huh, kid, you didn't expect that. My limbs can be flexible and extend freely. Taking on a newbie like you is a piece of cake." Perhaps realizing she had the upper hand and couldn't possibly lose this match, Ken Chang boasted about her physical attributes. After being suppressed by Kabuto for so long, he finally managed to hold his head high over the others. After boasting, he began to threaten, "Give up now, or I'll keep increasing my strength. Don't blame me if I accidentally break your neck." He imagined that after hearing his threats, Rock Lee would beg for mercy with a face full of fear, and he could then happily enjoy the scene, savoring this rare joy in life. However, to his surprise, Rock Lee didn't move at all after he finished speaking, as if completely unconcerned with his threats. He was furious. He had thought himself merciful, not intending to break the man's neck immediately, but giving him a chance to surrender. Even if his mercy was simply because he didn't want to expose his identity as a spy by killing a fellow ninja, he said, "In that case, then die." Seeing that his mercy was ignored, he became furious and immediately increased his strength, intending to break the man's neck. However, to his surprise, no matter how hard he twisted, the opponent's head wouldn't budge even a bit. It was even harder than a solid iron stake. "How is this possible?" His face was filled with shock. How could the opponent be so strong that he could resist his attempts? At this moment, Rock Lee, who was entangled by him, finally spoke out. Is that all your strength? Initially entangled, he was a little flustered, secretly cursing himself for being so careless. But when he felt a weak strength coming from the opponent, his panic instantly dissipated. He had thought the opponent was very strong, which was why he was so confident, but he didn't expect that this was all. So he didn't rush to break free, preparing to wait until the opponent had exerted all his strength. After that, he felt the opponent's strength increase slightly, to a level that could barely be considered ordinary. And then, nothing happened, only the opponent's astonishment. Damn it! I don't believe I can't bend it. Hearing Rock Lee's question, Ken Misumi felt a deep sense of shame, and felt that the opponent's words were full of ridicule. He gritted his teeth and exerted all his might, finally moving Rock Lee's head a millimeter. By this point, Rock Lee no longer wanted to play along. His arms, previously bound and immobilized, suddenly exerted force, inching ever closer. What? Ken Misumi, shocked, tried to restrain him, but to no avail. He could only watch helplessly as he lifted his arm and grasped the limb wrapped around his neck. Sizzle! Rock Lee tore at the limb, stretching it further and further. Once stretched to its limit, he gave a powerful thrust, freeing it from his neck. Then, freeing his right hand, he launched a powerful elbow, aiming it straight at the wide-eyed Ken Misumi behind him. Bang! Crack! Ken Misumi, unable to react, was struck in the face. His glasses shattered into pieces, and his vision darkened. Then, with a snap, his body returned to its original state, sliding limply from Rock Lee's back, his eyes rolled back, and he passed out. Upon witnessing this, Moonlight Gale immediately announced, Rock Lee wins the third match. Haha, I knew Thick Eyebrows couldn't lose. Naruto smiled at Sakura from the stands. After Rock Lee was entangled by his opponent, Sakura had worried about a potential upset, but she was adamant that it wouldn't happen. And now, the result proved his judgment correct. This guy's body is a bit like Buu's, Goku observed with interest, his chin resting on his hand as he watched Ken Misumi being carried off the stage. Ken Misumi's body transformations reminded him of Buu, who also had the ability to transform his body in various ways, though Ken Misumi was far inferior. Who is Buu, Goku-sensei? Naruto asked curiously. He's quite a formidable fellow, Goku smiled faintly. After Rock Lee and Ken Misumi's match, the match between Aburame and Konoha's spy, Akato Kamo, began. Seeing a swarm of insects burst forth from Aburame body and attack her, Goku exclaimed, "Wow, how could there be so many bugs on him?" Although he wasn't afraid of bugs, seeing such a dense swarm emerging from a single person gave him goosebumps. Haha, Mr. Goku, this is a secret technique of the Aburame clan. It allows you to use your body as a nesting ground for insects, and then control them to fight against others, Sarutobi Hiruzen chuckled as he explained. Using your body as a nesting ground for insects? Goku shuddered, unable to imagine himself filled with insects. SHH. I'm going bald with this plot twist lately. Chapter 59, Break all laws with one force. Soon, Aburame defeated her opponent with a parasitic bug, winning the fourth qualifying match. Then, in the fifth qualifying match, Chaji defeated the unnamed Rain Ninja Atako with his signature move, Meat Bomb Chariot. Seeing Chaji perform this move, Goku thought of Buu again, but this time, it was Fat Buu, now merged with UUB. As the fifth qualifying match concluded, the big screen continued to draw the next match list, and soon a new list appeared before everyone. Uchiha Sasuke vs Temari, HMPH, is it finally my turn? Sasuke curled his lips upon seeing his name finally appear on the list. He'd waited so long, he felt like he was rusting. But who is this Temari? He glanced around, eliminating those he'd already fought, and his gaze fixed on a woman. She's the one? Interesting. Meanwhile, Temari, on the other side, caught a glimpse of the match list. Uchiha Sasuke, I didn't expect my opponent to be you. Ever since Kankuro suffered a loss at Naruto's hands, they'd been secretly investigating Naruto and his team, learning that one of Naruto's teammates was an Uchiha named Uchiha Sasuke. Temari, be careful of the enemy's Sharingan, Maki warned her from the side. The intelligence they'd gathered only revealed that the enemy was an Uchiha, not whether it had activated its own. Yes, I know, Temari nodded. While she had never seen an Uchiha Sharingan, she had heard it was a terrifying eye, capable of casting illusory spells without anyone noticing. However, despite their thorough preparations, they hadn't realized that Sasuke's current strength, beyond the Sharingan, was his key mastery. Swish. Soon, Sasuke and Temari arrived at the arena, facing each other. Even though you're a woman, I won't show any mercy, Sasuke spoke first. HMPH, you might be handsome, but I won't let you down either, Temari retorted unyieldingly. After the two finished their verbal battle, Gekko Hayate announced the start of the match. Go Sasuke. Beat her up, Sakura shouted from the stands, her eyes unconcealed with hostility towards Temari. This hostility stemmed from the faint blush she'd seen on Temari's face as she spoke to Sasuke. As a woman herself, she naturally understood the situation and immediately exploded. At that moment, she wished she were Temari's match. What's wrong with Sakura? Sasuke glanced at Sakura in surprise, unsure of her animosity towards Temari. Could it be that she disliked her because she was Kankuro's teammate? The thought flashed through his mind for a second before he focused his attention on his opponent. Temari removed the giant fan from behind her and held it in his hand. Is this your weapon? Sasuke asked, gazing at the massive fan with interest. He'd seen many ninjas wielding kunai, senbon, shuriken, and the like, but this was his first time seeing one wielding a fan. Yes, it's called the 3-star fan, Temari finished her introduction before charging towards Sasuke, holding the fan. Once in front of Sasuke, she leaped up and slammed the fan handle down. Bang! Sasuke dodged the blow with an easy leap, then looked at Temari, who had fallen to the ground, with a smirk. Is that your strength? You can't even hit me with this, then you'll have a taste of my power. After failing to land, Temari stopped attacking Sasuke and instead unfurled the 3-star fan with a clattering sound. Then, she swung it fiercely at Sasuke. Ninjutsu, Kamadachi. A sudden, shrill wind arose, raging towards Sasuke with a shrill, howling sound. Sand and gravel flew everywhere it passed, leaving terrifying scars carved by invisible wind blades on the ground, a terrifying sight. Facing this blow, Sasuke dodged to the side without a second thought. Although he felt that with his current physical condition, he could probably withstand the blow head-on, he was always cautious and would not risk his life unless he was absolutely sure he would not be harmed. However, he had not expected Temari's move to be repetitive. You can't avoid it. Seeing him dodge, Temari immediately waved her fan and sent out several more Kamadachi, blocking all possible escape routes. Whoosh, whoosh. The Kamadachi attack had a wide range, and after several of them, Sasuke was immediately forced into an unavoidable blind spot. Of course, this blind spot was only for a normal person, not for him. He could easily avoid the attack by jumping into the air. But while he was in midair, the opponent could still attack. If he tried to dodge then, he would reveal his flight. So, then, let's break all barriers with one single blow. With this thought, Sasuke's eyes suddenly focused, and a white aura emanated from his body. Then, with a powerful kick of his feet, his body shot like an arrow straight into the raging wind before him. Oh, seeing Sasuke charging headlong into her attack, Temari thought he was making a desperate attempt and smiled in amusement. But then her smile froze, and a look of disbelief filled her face. How is this possible? Sasuke's body was like lightning, and he was out of the range of the wind in almost an instant. But that wasn't what shocked her. What shocked her was that he had no injuries at all. Even more outrageous, not even his clothes had a single scratch from the wind blades. It's time to end it. While she was stunned, Sasuke had unknowingly appeared behind her and tapped her neck with a knife-like hand. Ugh, Temari's vision went black after being struck in such a vulnerable area, and she passed out. Maki, who was in the spectator booth, witnessed this and instantly rushed onto the field, embracing Temari as she nearly fell to the ground. He glanced at Sasuke, then, without a word, returned to the spectator booth with Temari in his arms. Ahem, I declare Uchiha Sasuke the winner of the 6th qualifying match. A pale-faced Gekko Hayate coughed several times before announcing the result. Great. That's how you should defeat your opponent. Seeing Sasuke win so effortlessly, Sakura beamed with joy and slapped Naruto in the face. Hiss. That hurts, Sakura? Naruto felt a burning pain in his back, and glared at Sakura. Although he was stronger than Sakura, being caught off guard like that was still excruciatingly painful. Furthermore, they were both wearing weighted wrist guards, so the force of the blow was much greater than usual. Sorry, Sakura realized her mistake and clasped her hands together to apologize to Naruto, which finally calmed his anger. After his anger subsided, Naruto looked around at the players who hadn't yet played and asked curiously, "We have 10 matches in total. Now that Sasuke is done, there are 4 left. I wonder who you'll be matched with." "Sakura? Okay, another early update today. Speaking of which, it was really sad when Fat Buu and UUB merged into one, especially seeing Satan's helpless expression and that old yellow dog's name." Chapter 60 Sakura vs. Gaara? Ahem, I declare Hinata Hyuga the winner of the 7th qualifying match. On the court, Hinata pulled up Ino, who had been knocked down by her, and said sheepishly, "I'm sorry, this is a competition, and I must do my best to defeat you. It's okay, I understand." As Ino was pulled up, she looked dejected, sighing that she had stopped here. She looked toward the distant viewing platform, where her best friend and rival was also looking at her, and thought to herself, "Sakura, it seems I won't have the chance to fight you this time." Sakura, too, was feeling mixed emotions. Although she knew Ino was no match for her current strength, she still hoped to fight her in this exam, as it was a promise they had made. But now, it seemed their promised duel would be postponed, at this moment, in an unknown cave outside Konoha. "Lord Orochimaru, why exactly did you ask us to assassinate Sasuke?" Toss asked solemnly, looking at Orochimaru before him, while Kin and Saku looked at each other in confusion. "Of course, I want you to test his strength." "Test his strength? But he's so strong, we can't possibly fathom him. Besides, he and his teammates now know we're your subordinates." I didn't expect him to be so strong. "As for knowing your identities, don't worry about it, it won't affect our plan." After a moment's silence, Sak spoke, "Lord Orochimaru, so, in your plan, what exactly are we supposed to do?" Previously, Orochimaru had only told them his overall plan to attack Konoha, but hadn't assigned them specific tasks, leaving them quite puzzled. Now, with the plan about to begin, the ever-impatient Sak couldn't help but ask, I know you're all eager to know your tasks, especially you, Sak. You're eager to prove yourself to me. Don't worry, you'll have the chance to prove yourself to me on this mission." Orochimaru licked his lips, a smile tinged with concern. "I will." "Lord Orochimaru." Seeing Orochimaru's earnest gaze, Sak blushed and spoke with determination. "Well, I'll tell you about the mission in a few days. You should stay here for the next few days and don't go out to avoid being discovered." With these words, Orochimaru turned and left. The concerned smile on his face vanished, replaced by a sinister expression. Being able to serve as a sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation proves you're worthy of my services. Amazing. Shadows can actually move, Goku exclaimed in amazement as he watched the scene unfold in the Chunin exam preliminaries. The match was between Shikamaru and Inuzuka Kiba. Shikamaru first knocked out Inuzuka Kiba's ninja dog, Akamaru, and then suddenly controlled his own shadow to rapidly lengthen, connecting it with Inuzuka Kiba's. "Haha, Mr. Goku, this is a secret technique called shadow mimicry. You can control another person's body with your own shadow," Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had been acting as commentator, explained again to Goku. "Using shadows to control someone's body? That's quite a unique technique." Goku rubbed his chin in thought. If this technique existed in his past world, wouldn't enemies like Frieza and Cell be easily defeated? As he pondered, Shikamaru on the field controlled Kiba Inuzuka to slam him into a wall, knocking him unconscious and thus winning the match. Only 3 opponents left. I wonder which one Sakura will face. After the match concluded, Naruto curiously observed the 3 remaining players besides Sakura. This one's from the Rain Village. His teammates are all pretty weak, so he's probably not much better either. This one's the teammate with thick eyebrows, I think his name is Niji. He has an unusual aura about him, so he must be a master. This one's a teammate of that annoying guy. He's always emitting a vague murderous aura, and he looks equally annoying, he observed, muttering softly. "What are you mumbling about, Naruto?" Sakura couldn't help but wonder, seeing him glancing around and mumbling something. "Hey, I'm trying to predict who your opponent will be." Naruto rubbed his head and smiled innocently when asked by Sakura. "Oh? Who do you think it will be?" "Well, I hope your opponent is that annoying-looking guy. Give him a good beating." Naruto pointed at Gaara. Ha, Naruto, we can't always be so lucky to meet them. You and Sasuke both ran into people from their team before. I can't expect the same thing to happen to me, Sakura said with a hand covering her mouth. But her laughter soon faltered as the big screen displayed the match list for the 9th qualifying match, Hyuga Neji vs Rain Ninja C. This left the only remaining players standing, and meant that the final match would be between her and Gaara. This is too weird. Why are our opponents all from the same team, Kakashi-sensei? This roster draw wasn't manipulated, Sakura said with a look of doubt. Before Kakashi could respond, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and said, "There's no manipulation, all the results are random. I can only say that you and each other are destined to be together." With a Hokage's endorsement, Sakura finally suppressed her doubts and began to ponder their connection. While she was pondering, the match began and ended. Soft fist technique, 8 trigrams 64 palms, clap, clap, clap. After a series of smooth movements, Niji's opponent, Rain Ninja Bing, collapsed, unable to move. 9th qualifying match, Hyuga Niji wins. Wow, this guy is truly powerful. Seeing Niji's decisive finish, and sensing his powerful aura, Naruto's eyes lit up, and he felt the urge to challenge him immediately. Finally, it's my turn. I didn't expect to be the last match. It feels a bit boring. At that moment, Sakura finally came to her senses, curling her lips at her name on the big screen. She'd been waiting for so long, she felt sleepy. As the saying goes, the last one to perform is always the best. Seeing that she looked uninterested, Kakashi half-jokingly and half-encouragingly encouraged her. "Go ahead, Sakura." Goku patted her shoulder with an expectant smile on his face. "Sakura, you have to give that annoying guy a good beating," Naruto came over and said to her cheerfully. And Sasuke also nodded to her to cheer her on. Seeing that everyone was supporting her, Sakura smiled brightly and felt her body regained energy. "Thank you everyone, I will do my best." Chapter 61 Can't break the defense? That guy from that team again, Kankuro, who had woken up at some point, stood in the viewing platform, his face gloomy as he gazed at Sakura on the field. But then, a satisfied smile flashed across his face. "If you run into Gaara, you're dead, woman." Gaara is the strongest and most terrifying member of their team. He had never seen anyone survive his blows. During the second exam, for example, Gaara had slaughtered 3 teams of examinees, leaving no trace of them. Such ferocity would have terrified anyone. "She's dead, sure, but that's alright." Gaara got us revenge, Temari, who had also woken up, said expressionlessly. She and Kankuro had both been defeated by the same team, leaving them feeling humiliated. Now, Gaara, the strongest, had run into someone from the opposing team, offering them the perfect opportunity to avenge their grievances. On the field, Gaara crossed his arms and spoke to Sakura in a cold tone. "The ones I wanted to fight were Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. I didn't expect to meet a woman like you." Across from him, Sakura raised an eyebrow in surprise. "So you wanted to fight Sasuke and Naruto? What a shame. They matched up with your 2 teammates and defeated them both." The man before her exuded a venomous aura that made her uncomfortable, and his words tinged with disdain, so she responded with sarcasm. "I'm no match for them," Gaara said calmly. "Then let's give it a try," Sakura said with a curled lip. "Ahem, I declare the final qualifying match officially open," Moonlight Gale announced, seeing both ready. Sakura took the lead, striking out at Gaara and delivering a powerful punch. Snap! However, to her surprise, her punch was blocked mid-strike. "What is this?" Her eyes widened, the scene before her incredulous. Directly in front of her, a solid wall of sand blocked her fist, firmly catching her attack. "Wow, this guy can actually control sand?" In the stands, Goku was equally astonished by the scene. From the first qualifying match until now, he'd been amazed. He'd seen someone using their body as a nest of insects, someone controlling their shadows, and now someone controlling sand. Where did all this sand come from? On the field, Sakura, after failing to land a strike, didn't continue her attack. Instead, she stepped back, observing the floating ball of sand and Gaara behind it. She quickly noticed a gourd on Gaara's back had been opened. So it's inside the gourd? Knowing the sand source, she thought, controlling sand to defend against attacks? I'll see if you can block them all. With that thought, she charged forward, launching attacks from all sides of Gaara. But no matter her punches or kicks, Gaara's sand shields them all. How? This sand shield is Gaara's ultimate defense, protecting from every angle. How could a woman like you possibly harm him? In the stands, Kankuro's smile widened as he watched Sakura's relentless attacks fail to even touch Gaara's hair. He saw Sakura's demise drawing near. Once her strength wore down from repeated attacks, Gaara would easily be able to finish her off. This sand is truly formidable. On the field, After several fruitless attacks, Sakura ceased her attacks, believing it was pointless to continue, a mere waste of her energy. Then, a thought struck her. It seems time to remove the weights. They had removed the weights during their previous encounter with Orochimaru, and after Orochimaru's departure, they had simply sealed them in a scroll and not worn them again. But after arriving at the tower for their second match, they had donned them again. Even now, during the preliminaries, they hadn't been removed. Ta-da-da. To prevent a sudden attack from Gaara while removing the weights, she leaped a safe distance before finally removing them. Huh? What's she doing? No one in the arena, save Naruto and his group, knew what Sakura was up to. Hey, I didn't expect this guy to force Sakura to remove the weights, Naruto said carelessly, his voice echoing around them as he watched the scene. Weights? Why carry such a cumbersome thing? Shikamaru half closed his eyes, a look of disbelief on his face. Is this thing really useful? Inuzuka Kiba folded his arms, his face filled with confusion. Weights? It's only a few dozen pounds, at most. What's the point? You can't hit Gaara whether you wear it or not, Kankuro scoffed inwardly. But then his expression changed. Sakura, after removing the weights from her feet, didn't gently lower them. Instead, she deliberately lifted them to shoulder level and suddenly let go. Bang! With a loud bang, dust flew up from the ground, and two large, cracked craters appeared. What's this? Kankuro's eyes widened, a twitch at the corners of his eyes. What kind of weight did this woman have to wear to smash the ground like that? And his shock wasn't over yet. After removing the weights from her feet, Sakura also removed the weighted wristbands from her hands. With two bangs, the craters deepened even further. You're all surprised, right? After removing the weights, Sakura glanced around at the onlookers, seeing the shocked expressions on their faces with a hint of smugness. She hadn't meant to cause a scene, but it was these people pointing fingers at her. If she didn't let them know the sheer weights she was wearing, it would be a shame to train so hard. HMPH, even if your weights are a bit over the top, you can't possibly break Gaara's defenses. After a moment of shock, Kankuro's expression softened. He admitted that this woman was somewhat unusual, but he still didn't believe she could harm Gaara. This was the conclusion he'd drawn from watching Gaara grow up. Few in the arena weren't surprised by Sakura's weight, and Gaara was one of them. As Sakura removed the weight, he stood still, his arms folded across his chest. Even when the weight slammed into the ground with a resounding crash, his expression remained unmoved. You don't look concerned, Sakura couldn't help but ask. Why should I care? Gaara said expressionlessly. Aren't you afraid I can break your defense? How? Gaara didn't respond, only sneered. This sneer was filled with his immense confidence in his own defense and a deep disdain for Sakura. Sakura, without further ado, intended to make her point with her actions. She could definitely break his defense. Short and weak, I'll scold you for that. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Gaara the Sandbag, Sakura's Abandonment. Whoosh! After the two sides stopped talking, Sakura suddenly moved, arriving in front of Gaara in a flash, and launched a fierce kick with her right foot. So fast, Gaara's pupils shrank, his body unable to react, and he could only watch the kick coming. Bang! Just as the kick was about to hit him in the face, his protective sand arrived just in time, narrowly blocking the blow in front of him. You can still block it. Seeing that the attack was ineffective, Sakura narrowed her eyes, and without hesitation, she dove to the other side and attacked again. Bang! 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 Rapid and dense collisions echoed continuously. Sakura's figure flashed around Gaara, launching one attack after another, so fast that it created countless afterimages, making it look like multiple of her attacking at once. You're kidding? In the spectator stand, Inuzuka Kiba's mouth opened wide in shock, as if it could swallow several eggs. At that moment, he felt his earlier doubts rebound, transforming into a giant hand slapping his face. Hey, is this really humanly possible? Shikamaru's dead eyes suddenly opened wide, revealing his inner shock. Sakura, you've really gotten a lot stronger. So much so that I can't even see your shadow anymore. Ino clenched her fists at the sight, her heart pounding with anxiety. Although she had noticed Sakura's increased strength before the written test began, she had never imagined it would be so far beyond her reach. Pa! Suddenly, a crashing sound, unlike any before, echoed from the field, causing many onlookers to stare wide-eyed. "Did you hit Gaara?" This time, Sakura's attack wasn't stopped by the sand, but instead slammed into Gaara, sending him flying. "I finally hit him. This sand is really fast." Sakura withdrew her hand, panting slightly as she watched Gaara fly backwards and hit the wall. At this moment, her entire body was radiating white energy, indicating she was already in the explosive ki stage. While her speed had increased considerably after shedding her burden, every attack was still narrowly blocked by Gaara's sand. So, she activated her explosive ki, boosting her speed even further. At this even more astonishing speed, Gaara's sand had no time to block, and could only watch helplessly as the attack landed on Gaara. "But, why does it feel a little off?" she muttered softly. When she struck Gaara just now, it felt like she was hitting something hard, not a human. But her ki sense confirmed it was indeed a human. Crackling. At that moment, a sound not far away caught her attention. Gaara's forehead had inexplicably cracked after he descended from the wall. "What's this?" "Hey, this is Gaara's absolute defense." In the viewing platform, Kankuro's mouth curled up at Sakura's surprise. Although he had been shocked by Sakura's speed, he wasn't overly worried. He knew that in addition to Gaara's outer sand shield, he also possessed a sand armor. This sand armor manipulated sand to cover his entire body, completely deflecting all attacks and rendering him harmless. "But you're quite proud of yourself, woman, for pushing Gaara to this point." Despite his deep dislike for Sakura, he couldn't help but feel a certain admiration for her. It had been a long time since he'd seen Gaara forced to use the sand armor. On the field, upon seeing that the cracks on Gaara's face were actually a layer of sand armor, Sakura was surprised and speechless. A second layer of defense? That's too clumsy. She hadn't expected the opponent to possess such a defense. After Gaara's sand armor was shattered, a mad, sinister grin spread across his face. It had been so long. It had been so long since someone had breached his sand shield and struck him. He admitted he'd been wrong. The woman before him possessed the strength that piqued his interest. He looked up at Sakura, his voice laced with suppressed excitement. "Not enough? Is that all you've got?" Hearing his provocation, Sakura sneered. "As you wish. See how I'll break your shell." With that, she vanished abruptly, only to reappear beside Gaara and deliver a powerful kick straight to his head. Bang! This time, Gaara still couldn't react, and was sent flying. But that wasn't the end. After Gaara flew away, Sakura vanished again, only to appear before the wall he was about to collide with, delivering another powerful kick. Bang! 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 For the next moment, Sakura demonstrated her lightning speed to everyone present. Each time she sent Gaara flying, she managed to send him careening away before he hit the wall. Throughout this process, Gaara was powerless to resist, passively accepting Sakura's relentless beatings. From east to west, from south to north, he was like a punching bag, being thrown in all directions by Sakura, yet never once landing on the ground or hitting a wall, drawing the gazes of many onlookers. "This is terrifying," Chaji shuddered in fear, dropping the potato chips in his hand without even realizing it. "Is this Sakura's current strength? I never expected such a dramatic change in her after only 2 months of training with Goku. Then how much more powerful would Naruto and Sasuke be?" Kakashi pondered. Although he had occasionally watched Naruto and the others train, they weren't always wearing weights, preventing him from seeing their true strength. Now, free of the weights, Sakura truly unleashed her full power. Bang! Sakura's eyes narrowed after another kick sent Gaara flying. Gaara's already cracked sand armor could no longer hold up, shattered by her kick. In return, several bruises appeared on his face. "Huh? Has the tortoise shell finally broken?" Sakura panted, wiping the sweat from her face with a look of ridicule. She hadn't expected Gaara's tortoise shell to be so resilient, enduring so many blows from her full force before shattering. Bang! During her pause, Gaara slammed hard into the wall, creating a massive hole. Inside the hole, Gaara's eyes grew increasingly frantic. "Hey, is this what pain feels like?" He touched his face, feeling the unprecedented surge of pain. A bloodthirsty grin spread across his face. But suddenly, his smile froze. Several key bombs, carrying ferocious momentum, struck him one after another. Sensing the threat emanating from within, he felt his protective sand might not be able to withstand it, So he quickly manipulated the remaining sand to form a wall of sand in front of him, stronger than steel. Boom. 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 Numerous energy bombs exploded in the sand wall, blasting dents into it one after another. Finally, with the final energy bomb, a hole was blasted through it with a resounding bang. Immediately afterwards, the much shrunken energy bomb darted towards Gaara's face. However, its speed slowed considerably as it passed through the sand wall, giving Gaara time to escape the hole and narrowly avoiding it. Boom! The energy bomb exploded at the edge of the hole, widening it even further. Witnessing the power of this attack, Gaara knew that if it had struck him in the face, without the protection of his sand armor, he would likely have sustained significant damage. His bloodlust surged, and he prepared to recklessly unleash the technique he had only used since the inception of the Konoha destruction plan. But unexpectedly, just as this thought occurred to him, Sakura's voice suddenly rang out, leaving his mind blank for a moment. "I surrender this match. I won't fight." Sakura's strength is being compared to Lee's in the original novel, and the reason for her surrender will be revealed in the next chapter. A side note, when writing this, for some reason, perhaps due to the foreshadowing earlier, I really wanted Sakura to win. But if she wins, the plot outline we had previously established will be completely messed up. So, after much deliberation, I decided to stick with the original plot outline. I'm not sure if this will offend you, but in order to introduce the comparison of Sakura and Naruto's strength, including some subsequent plot points, this arrangement is necessary. This plot will not appear again later. Chapter 63. If you haven't fought enough, I'll fight with you. Inside the arena, after Sakura announced her surrender, aside from Goku, Naruto, and other infuriating types, everyone else reacted in different ways. This woman, Kankuro, still stunned by Gaara's broken defense, was suddenly stunned by Sakura's declaration of surrender. Why would Sakura surrender? Isn't the situation so favorable now? The opponent is completely defenseless, Ino asked, bewildered upon seeing her best friend concede. No, take a good look at the current state of both sides. Shikamaru's usual indolence had long since faded, as he diligently analyzed the situation. Although Sakura had the upper hand, the damage she inflicted on Gaara wasn't significant, and her attack on Gaara clearly consumed a lot of energy. Look at her panting and paler complexion. Upon hearing this, Ino took a closer look and saw that it was just as Shikamaru had described. Sakura's complexion was much uglier than before the match, and she was even staggering, clearly exhausted. Then look at Gaara. Although he was constantly being hit, his sand defense helped offset the damage, and even though Sakura's defense was broken later, he only took a small amount of damage, which wasn't a big deal for him. Compared to the two, Sakura doesn't actually have the upper hand unless she can finish her opponent off in one fell swoop. Just like those energy bomb attacks she unleashed at the end, they were probably intended to knock her out in one blow, but unfortunately they didn't succeed. After Shikamaru's eloquent analysis, Ino finally understood why Sakura had conceded defeat, and she couldn't help but feel sorry for her. If Sakura had faced a different opponent, she would have likely won by now. However, what neither of them knew was that while Sakura's surrender was largely due to physical exhaustion, there was a more important reason. What a pity. Sakura's ki has been depleted. If she keeps fighting, not only will she not win, she'll collapse and pass out. Sasuke folded his arms over his chest and glanced at Naruto, who looked a little resigned. "Yes, I know," Naruto muttered. Had he not known this, he, who always insisted on never giving up, would have yelled at Sakura, furious at her lack of fighting spirit. Indeed, the primary reason Sakura abandoned the match was that she no longer had enough chi to continue. Besides the significant consumption of her chi burst, the fundamental reason for her chi shortage was that her chi reserves were limited to begin with. Once she activated her chi burst, her chi plummeted. If she couldn't defeat her opponent before her chi dropped below the safe limit, her chances of victory were slim. Only if she fought tooth and nail, even at the cost of her chi, could she possibly win. But this was just a match. Why would she need to go to such lengths? On the field, the examiner, Moonlight Te-8, hadn't expected Sakura to suddenly surrender, so he reassured her. "Are you sure?" Sakura nodded. "Yes, I am." "Okay, in that case, I'll announce it." Moonlight Te-8 was about to announce the result when he saw something unexpected happen before him, and his voice abruptly stopped. Gaara, realizing Sakura's surrender, was filled with frenzied killing intent. He controlled a torrent of sand and launched it at her. "I haven't fought enough yet. Wait until I kill you, then you can surrender." His words were filled with brutality. This guy, Sakura, was surprised by the incoming attack. Was he so relentless? She gritted her teeth and tried to dodge it. Even with her current exhaustion, she was confident she could avoid it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But before she could evade it, several air bombs suddenly launched from above, blasting the incoming sands into the air. She looked back and saw Naruto standing on the railing in the viewing platform, pointing at Gaara and shouting, "You bastard, if you haven't had enough, I'll join you." Beside him, Sasuke's lips curled up. "If you're still short, there's me, but I don't think I'll be needed." On the other side, Rock Lee, unwilling to be outdone, raised his hand and said, me, and me, Naruto, Sasuke, Rock Lee, you all." Sakura looked at them, her face filled with emotion. But the person being pointed at was not feeling the same way. Gaara's face twitched, furious that someone was hindering his attack. He believed that Sakura should be crushed to pieces, so that he could let his mother, reduced to sand, taste what he considered to be her most delicious blood. But all this was being prevented by someone, and not just one or two people trying to stop him. Seeing this, his previously unrealized plan began to resurface. He prepared to transform into his full form and turn the place upside down. But at that moment, swish! 3 figures suddenly appeared beside him. "That's enough, Gaara. Don't forget our plan," Maki growled, glancing around to make sure no one else was around. Gaara was the key to their plan to attack Konoha. If it were exposed, the entire plan would be ruined. "Gaara, look at me, listen to me. You can kill these people when the day comes to carry out the plan. There's no rush." Temari boldly grasped Gaara's shoulders, staring him straight in the face. Yes, Gaara. Just bear with me for a few days." Kankuro, no longer concerned about his fear for Gaara, chimed in. Someone among the 3 of them spoke, but the madness in Gaara's eyes gradually faded. After a moment, he calmed down completely, no longer displaying any trace of brutality or bloodlust. "I will definitely kill them," he said with a steady voice, then turned and left. Seeing this, Maki winked at Temari and Kankuro, signaling them to follow. He then approached Chekauhei and apologized. "I'm sorry, Gaara gets carried away easily when fighting. I've already criticized him. Are you watching this match?" One of the rules of the match stipulated that after one side conceded, the other side could not attack them again. He was worried that Gaara's previous attack would be deemed a violation by the examiner, forcing him to disqualify himself from the finals. Even if Gaara didn't advance, it wouldn't affect their plan to release the One Tail at the finals venue on the day of the finals, as spectators were allowed entry. However, all of the participants in the Chunin exams, except Gaara, had already been eliminated. If even Gaara was eliminated, the Tsunagakure would be completely wiped out. Not only would their own Kazekage be embarrassed when he arrived in Konoha, but the news would also lead to ridicule from the other ninja villages. Even if the plan to attack Konoha succeeded, it wouldn't affect this. After hearing his apology, Moonlight Tei didn't immediately respond, instead looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen. After Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded slightly, he looked at Maki and said, "Since we're allies, I'll allow Gaara to make this one mistake, but only this once. I've seen readers comment on the uneven strength of Naruto and his companions, but in my setting, they're not evenly matched. Observant readers will notice that I've mentioned their varying strengths and places, such as the different weights Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke carry. In my setting, Sakura is the weakest of the group, which fits her perfectly. She's the weakest to begin with, and her training hasn't been as intense as Naruto and his friends. Given this, it would be a stretch to say she's on par with them. As for her ki, she also lacks the same ki as Naruto and his friends. This has to do with their physical constitutions, which I'll discuss later, so I won't go into detail here. However, although she is not very strong, she has a good talent for controlling energy, so she was the first to sense ki and the first to learn how to explode ki. This was corrected in Chapter 18 when she was the first person to master explosive ki, and she was also the first to learn other moves, which is consistent with her character in the original novel. Chapter 64, the first martial arts tournament in the ninja world? Cheers! In a restaurant, Goku, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi raised their drinks and clinked them together. After the preliminaries concluded, they had gathered for a celebration to celebrate Naruto and Sasuke's advancement to the finals. Even though this result had been expected, Naruto, Sasuke, you two are amazing, Sakura happily congratulated them. Then, she sighed softly. Alice, It's a pity I was too weak to make it to the finals with you. If I were stronger, I could have defeated you." She had conceded the match, but that didn't mean she was truly willing. As long as she had the slightest chance of victory, and her life was guaranteed, she would never give up. "It's okay, Sakura, you're already amazing. Your growth in the past 2 months has amazed me," Kakashi reassured with a smile. Yes, if it weren't for that turtle shell, Sakura, you would have won long ago." "Am I right, Sasuke?" Naruto exclaimed. "Ah, yes," Sasuke replied. "Is that so?" "Of course," the three of them said in unison. "Well, thank you for your comfort. I'm just a little upset about not making it to the finals. You know, this is my first time failing an exam." Sakura's face was gloomy. Failing to reach the finals meant she had failed the Chunin exam in school. She had always been a top student, never failing any exam unexpectedly. This Chunin exam would tarnish her academic record. Well, one failure isn't a big deal. Think about it, I didn't win the first time I participated in the Tenkaichi martial arts tournament. Goku, who had been clinking glasses and then slurring his food, looked up at Sakura and said seriously, "Tenkaichi martial arts tournament? What's that?" Naruto's eyes lit up. "The best in the world?" That sounded so exciting. The others also became curious, their eyes sparkling as they stared at Goku. Seeing everyone staring at him curiously, Goku gnawed away the fragrant leg of meat in one gulp, setting down the clean bone that would have made a dog run away in tears. The world's greatest martial arts tournament is where all the strongest gather to determine who is the world's greatest. All the strongest gather to compete? To determine who is the world's greatest? Everyone was stunned. Kakashi couldn't help but imagine the beautiful scene of the cage, the strongest from the 5 villages, and even the ninja from each village competing in the ring. Hiss. He couldn't even imagine it. If things got heated, the 4th Shinobi World War might have erupted. But Naruto, after a moment of shock, looked excited. The world's #1 martial arts tournament, just thinking about it makes me excited. You know, it would be great if there were a tournament like this in our ninja world. If I could win first place, I'd definitely be Hokage. Well, since it's a ninja world's martial arts tournament, how about calling it the ninja world's #1 martial arts tournament? By the end, he'd even decided on a name. The ninja world's #1 martial arts tournament? Humph, interesting, Sasuke's lips curled. If there were such a tournament, I wouldn't give you first place. I don't need you to. I can win it with my own strength. Naruto pointed at him confidently. HMPH, that's not necessarily true. Sasuke crossed his arms, equally confident. Zzz. The two stared at each other, their eyes sparking with electric sparks, clashing fiercely between them. Hey, this isn't even happening yet, you two shouldn't be so excited. Sakura held her forehead, her face filled with helplessness, but the slight curl of her lips betrayed her true reaction. Attracted by Goku's talk of the martial arts tournament and the playful banter between Naruto and Sasuke, she had already forgotten the unpleasantness of the exam and felt a lighter mood. HMPH, seeing Sakura's face brighten, Naruto and Sasuke snorted in unison, seemingly in tacit agreement, and turned their heads away. Then, Naruto turned back to Goku, who had returned to his meal, and asked curiously, "Hey, Goku-sensei, you said earlier that you didn't win the championship in your first martial arts tournament. So, what place did you get?" After spending so much time with Goku, he had already grown fond of this cheerful, powerful, yet humble, and attentive teacher, or friend. He was deeply curious about the past of this man, both mentor and friend, and how he had cultivated his skills to his current level of prowess. After hearing his question, Goku, with his cheeks bulging, quickly chewed the food in his mouth, swallowed it in one gulp, and said with a silly smile, "Well, second place, haha, wow. Second place is impressive," Sakura exclaimed, covering her mouth. In her opinion, getting second place among so many powerful people was already a remarkable achievement. If this happened in the ninja world, wouldn't it be equivalent to defeating Hokage? Ha ha ha, Goku responded to her praise with a silly smile. And as he smiled, a trace of memory flashed in his eyes. Speaking of which, at that time, he was deceived by Master Kame for a long time. If Master Kame hadn't let it slip at a dinner party later, when he was drunk, he really didn't know that the champion who defeated him was actually Master Kame himself in disguise. "Hey, Master Goku, did you win the championship later?" Naruto continued to ask. "Yes, well, let me think. I won the championship on my third attempt. It really took a lot of effort to win the time. Goku rubbed his nose and smiled. A lot of effort? That must have been a very intense fight, Kakashi thought to himself. What he didn't know was that Goku's expense was more than just intense. In that fight, Goku's limbs were crippled, and a large hole was shot through his chest. In the end, he defeated his opponent with a powerful headbutt. Wow, Goku-sensei, you're amazing. Upon hearing that Goku had won the championship, Naruto's eyes were filled with admiration for him. At that moment, he secretly made a resolution: he would hold the first martial arts tournament in the ninja world, inviting all the strongest ninja to participate, and then he would defeat them all and take first place. Meanwhile, at the inn that Konoha had arranged for Tsunagakure, in half a month, Gar looked expressionlessly at Maki, who had just returned. Well, in half a month, the final tournament will begin, and then our plan can officially begin. During this period, you should behave yourself and avoid conflicts with the Konoha ninjas. On the day the plan begins, you will have the opportunity to go on a killing spree. In the original novel, the final tournament was a month later, saying that it was to wait for the VIP to arrive. This book has made some changes, mentioning that the VIP has already arrived in Konoha and is waiting there. And these 15 days are mainly to wait for the Kazekage to arrive, the time it takes for the message to be transmitted plus the time it takes for the Kazekage to travel. Chapter 65. Look, this is the Kamehameha wave. After the preliminaries, Naruto and his team returned to their regular training, awaiting the finals in 15 days. Rock Lee, who had already returned to his original team, rejoined them and trained with them. That day, Goku skipped their usual training and instead told them he was going to teach them a new move. What move, Goku-sensei? Naruto's eyes lit up. The previous moves, such as the Ki Bomb and the Taiyo Fist, had been incredibly helpful, so hearing about a new one filled him with excitement. Sasuke, Sakura, and Rock Lee also looked at Goku with similar curiosity. Hey, this move is called Kamehameha, Goku said, hands on his hips, grinning. Kamehameha? What a unique name. Sakura, remembering the Taiyo Fist she'd learned before, could glean a hint of the move's characteristics from its name, but Kamehameha wasn't something she could grasp at all. This should be an offensive move, Sasuke said, pinching his chin. His intuition told him it was a move more powerful than the Ki Bomb. Yes, it's a powerful attack, Goku confirmed his hypothesis. After hearing Goku's words, Naruto couldn't contain himself any longer and rushed over to Goku, eagerly saying, Goku-sensei, please teach us this move. The thought of learning yet another powerful move that would boost his strength made him eager to try it. Watch carefully then. With that, Goku bent his legs slightly into a horse stance, then placed his hands on his waist in the shape of a calyx. Kame, ka, pi, mi, ki, ha, guang, mi, bo, ha. Suddenly, a blue ball of light appeared in his palms. As he finished speaking, he thrust his hands forward, and the blue ball of light launched forward, trailing a meteor-like tail. Boom. After a loud bang, Naruto and the others looked at the scene before them, their faces filled with confusion. That's it? Before them, a peaceful, 4 or 5 meter tall rock was shattered to dust by the sudden oncoming Kamehameha wave. While it looked powerful, it wasn't what they'd imagined. Goku-sensei, is that all it's capable of? Naruto scratched his head. For him, a move of this magnitude would certainly be a good one to learn. After all, it was significantly more powerful than a ki bullet. But he'd expected it to be even more powerful than it had been, so he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Meanwhile, Sasuke, momentarily stunned, came to his senses and realized something. No, Goku-sensei must have suppressed its power. Didn't you notice there's no fluctuation in Goku-sensei's ki? If it were that powerful, there would be fluctuations. His analysis made sense, but he didn't realize that even if the Kamehameha wave had been 10 or 100 times more powerful, it wouldn't have caused even a single ki fluctuation in Goku, who had been suppressing his ki since arriving in this world. Haha, Sasuke is right, I do have the power to suppress. After all, I was just demonstrating it to you, and there are no better targets around here. Goku smiled, touching his head. In the area where they were training, there was nothing else that could serve as a target except for some scattered rocks. And although there were trees around, he couldn't just shave the trees. After all, this was Konoha's territory, and as a guest, it would be inappropriate for him to do something to destroy other people's things. Of course, this was something he would only think of now when he was calmer. If you were fighting someone right now, And the fight was too intense, he might not be able to save the forest. I really want to see how powerful this move is in the hands of Master Goku. After knowing that Goku was deliberately suppressing the power, Naruto frowned and said, if the ninja world could transform into humans right now, they'd definitely grab him by the collar and angrily curse him. Effing, well, how about this? Let's go train outside. This isn't really suitable for you to practice your Kamehameha. Goku frowned, pondering for a moment before coming up with a good idea. Outside? Do you mean outside the village? Yes, that's great. I haven't been outside the village in ages, Naruto agreed. Sasuke nodded in agreement. Sakura and Rock Lee hesitated, each saying, I need to talk to my parents, Sensei guy. Well, no need to bother. Goku waved his hand, then raised his sword finger to his brow. The next moment, swish, he vanished into thin air. Seeing this, 3 question marks slowly formed above Sakura and the others' heads. What was Goku doing? In Kakashi's bedroom, sunlight streamed in through the window, illuminating Kakashi as he lay soundly asleep on his bed. Last night, he'd watched the new version of Intimate Paradise too late, leaving him feeling incredibly sleepy this morning. He'd wanted to watch Naruto and the others train, but he'd been up all this time. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside his bed by the window. It was Goku, teleported in. Huh? Still sleeping? Seeing Kakashi sound asleep, Goku scratched his head in confusion. He'd come to Kakashi to use him as a tool, to help spread the news of their training away from the village to Sakura's parents and Might Guy. But Kakashi was still asleep, leaving him unsure whether to wake him or not. Fortunately, before he could make a decision, Kakashi woke on his own. Who is it? Kakashi suddenly jumped up, drew his kunai, and unleashed it without even glancing at the person. A cold sweat broke out on him. As a battle-hardened ninja, his alertness was exceptional among his peers. Even in his sleep, he could sense someone approaching. But to his surprise, he was completely unaware of someone touching him today. If the other person hadn't woken him with a noise, he'd probably still be dreaming indescribable dreams. Snap! Goku reached out, firmly grasping the kunai, and grinned at Kakashi, who was looking at him with a frightened look. It's me, Kakashi. Hearing the familiar voice and seeing the familiar orange attire, Kakashi squinted his eyes to adjust to the light. A sense of relief washed over him. He exhaled deeply, a frown etched across his face. Goku, you keep showing up like this. One day you're going to give me a heart attack. In the past, Goku had appeared like this when he needed help, often startling him. Although he'd gotten used to it, he wasn't used to someone coming to him in his sleep. Ha. Sorry, Goku said sheepishly, rubbing his head. Hey, forget it. Shouldn't you be training Naruto and the others right now? Why did you suddenly come to me? Kakashi was tired and stopped dwelling on it. After all, Goku had apologized to him before, but nothing had changed since then. He was still scared. Kamehameha, haven't you all been waiting for this for a long time? Chapter 66 Danger. Death? Well, you're going to train outside the village. Upon learning Goku's intentions, Kakashi fell into deep thought. With the Chunin exams, Konoha has seen a sharp increase in the number of outsiders, and the inclusion of several smaller ninja villages, the number of spies lurking in has surged. If Naruto and his companions train within the village, making a lot of noise could expose them to these spies. Furthermore, with a dangerous figure or a Orochimaru lurking within, there's no telling what kind of trouble they might cause. While Goku is there, Naruto and his companions are guaranteed safety. The presence of these potential dangers is still a cause for concern. Therefore, before the finals, it would be a good idea for Naruto and his companions to follow Goku, away from all the clutter, and train outside in peace. I'll tell Sakura's parents and Guy about this. Go ahead. Well, also, fly directly out a back mountain to prevent anyone with ulterior motives from noticing you've left the village, Kakashi said after a moment's pause. He knew that some people in the village were keeping an eye on Goku and his companions. Although these people were extremely stealthy, he could still detect some traces, and for Goku, it was even more impossible to escape. However, since they hadn't done anything out of the ordinary, and since Goku didn't care about them at all, he ignored them. I thought so too, Goku said with a grin, referring to the idea of simply flying away. As for the idea of someone being kind or not, he hadn't considered that at all. Then I'm leaving. After arranging for his helper to deliver the message, he didn't linger any longer and quickly used teleportation to leave Kakashi's house. These are turbulent times. As a former Sannin, Orochimaru, what exactly are you trying to do in Konoha this time? After Goku left, Kakashi sighed as he gazed out the window. He hadn't known that Orochimaru had approached Naruto and the others during the Chunin exams. Naruto and the others hadn't told him. Guessing that Goku wanted to keep his intervention a secret, Naruto and the others had tacitly agreed not to mention it again, keeping it to themselves. They planned to reveal this after defeating Orochimaru, proving to Goku that they were growing stronger. Never mind, that's not my concern. Hokage-sama should be the one worrying. After a moment's thought, Kakashi put all this aside. Instead of thinking about it, wouldn't it be nice to read a few more pages of Intimate Paradise? Just as he pulled out Intimate Paradise, ready to recapture the highlights of last night's experience, well, I better report to Hokage-sama about Naruto and the others training outside the village. As the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and the only son of the fourth Hokage, Naruto had always been a key focus for Sarutobi Hiruzen. If he were to suddenly disappear from the village, he might be frightened to death. Kakashi hadn't considered whether Sarutobi Hiruzen would agree to Naruto's training outside the village. After all, he knew Sarutobi Hiruzen's current attitude towards Goku and knew he wouldn't refuse such a thing. He shifted his gaze to Goku. After giving Kakashi his instructions, Goku returned to Naruto and the others. I've already told Kakashi that he'll tell everyone you want to about your training trip, Goku said to Sakura and Rock Lee with a smile. As you know, Sakura smiled. Shortly after Goku left, she guessed what he was going to do. Is that so? That's alright, thank you, Master Goku, Rock Lee bowed solemnly. Yosh. Without further ado, let's get going, Naruto said impatiently. Soon, the five of them soared into the sky, swiftly leaving Konoha. And no one in Konoha noticed. Every time I fly, I feel so good. Naruto was like a bird that had escaped a cage, constantly changing direction and darting around in the air. Yes, this feeling of flying freely is truly wonderful. Sakura looked at the blue sky and white clouds so close at hand, her face filled with fascination. I heard from Kakashi-sensei that only the current Tsuchikage in the ninja world can fly, and now, besides him, we're here too. It's exciting to think about it. It felt like they'd become village cages, a feeling that made them feel a bit elated. About half an hour later, Goku's eyes lit up as he looked ahead at a spot nestled among several large mountains. Let's train here. With that, he descended rapidly. Seeing this, Naruto and the others followed suit. After a while, they landed. Naruto asked curiously, Goku-sensei, why did you choose this place? Goku, hands on his hips, smiled and said, there should be plenty of delicious food here. We won't have to worry about starving. Boom. Everyone fell. So that's the reason? Picking himself up, Naruto thought, Goku-sensei, now you can demonstrate the power of the Kamehameha wave to us. There were many things around that could serve as targets, like a massive rock not far away, over 10 meters high, a far better target than the previous ones. Worst case scenario, he could always use a mountain as a target. Mountains are so majestic, a small hole in them wouldn't be a big deal, right? Yeah, I'd love to see it too, Sakura chimed in enthusiastically. Sasuke and Rock Lee, though silent, stared at Goku with similar anticipation. Well, then, let's give him a little demonstration. Seeing they were eager to show off his skills, Goku readily agreed. This was a wild place, so he didn't have to worry about disrupting anything and affecting others. The most he had to do was be careful not to hurt innocent people. Glancing around, he quickly locked onto a distant, rugged mountain with little vegetation. Watch out, Goku struck a pose. Yet, Naruto and the others nodded in unison. Came, Pi, Chi, Guang, Wave, Whoosh. The blue ball of light reappeared, streaking across the ground like a meteor, blasting directly into the hundreds-meter-tall mountain. Naruto and the others watched intently, anticipating the impact the Kamehameha wave would leave on the mountain. Boom. As the Kamehameha wave impacted the mountain, a resounding, earth-shattering explosion echoed. Then, the entire mountain was shrouded in billowing smoke. A moment later, the smoke dissipated, and Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Rock Lee all exclaimed in unison at the scene before them, degree Cyrillic letter de degree, hurry, you're kidding me, Naruto stammered, his eyes nearly popping out of his head. The other three either swallowed or gaped in shock. Before their eyes, everything was now in full view. The hundreds-meter-tall mountain that had previously obstructed their view vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. However, they knew that the mountain hadn't simply vanished, it had been wiped away by Goku's Kamehameha wave, as effortlessly as if dust had been brushed off. Goku-sensei, please teach me. I must learn it. After the shock wore off, Naruto excitedly approached Goku and shouted. Well, Kamehameha's first appearance certainly had to be impressive, and here it is. As for using a starburst, I've considered it, but Goku wouldn't go for such a fuss. Having him blow up a mountain for a demonstration would be fine, but exploding a star would be completely out of character. I don't recall him ever exploding a star in Dragon Ball. Besides, blowing up a mountain would be enough for now. It's still hundreds of meters tall, and for Naruto and his group at this stage, it would be a miracle. Chapter 67, Orochimaru wants to explore Goku's secret. In front of a massive rock, Naruto imitated Goku's movements, attempting to unleash the Kamehameha wave. However, as he thrust his hands forward, the blue ball of light in his palm suddenly popped and dissipated like foam. Damn it, failed again. Naruto frowned at his Kamehameha failure. Of course, he wasn't alone. Sasuke and Rock Lee, not far away, also frowned. They'd practiced all morning, but still hadn't mastered the Kamehameha wave. The key to the Kamehameha wave was to concentrate and release all the energy in the body simultaneously. It sounded similar to the principle of a key bomb, but the difficulty was far greater. Despite their relentless practice, they still couldn't quite master it. We're back. Just then, Sakura, clutching a pile of firewood, and Goku, carrying a giant tiger on his shoulders, descended from the sky. Time for lunch, Goku said to them. Wait a minute, Goku-sensei, I want to practice a little longer. Naruto gritted his teeth. He wanted to practice a few more times. Maybe after a few times, no, maybe just one more time, he could master the Kamehameha wave. Sasuke and Rock Lee shared the same thought, saying to Goku in unison, me too. However, Goku didn't agree with them. He said to them seriously, have you forgotten what I once said? We must train hard when it's time to train, and eat and rest when it's time to eat and rest. That way, our training will be more effective. In the past, Naruto and his friends had often wanted to practice more, but only when he felt they hadn't reached their limits and allowed them to practice more, would he let them rest and recharge before continuing training. But today, Naruto and his friends had practiced all morning straight. Both mentally and physically, they had reached their limits and needed a good rest. It was also time for lunch, so replenishing their energy was essential. Yes, listen to Goku-sensei. Come over and prepare for dinner, Sakura urged Naruto and the others as she set up the grill and started the fire. Naruto, Sasuke, and Rock Lee exchanged a glance, then abandoned their training and headed towards Goku and the others. Seriously, Sakura, you're talking nonsense, Naruto exclaimed as they walked. If you haven't mastered Kamehameha like us, I doubt you won't want to continue practicing. Before this, Sakura had practiced Kamehameha with him. But it had to be said that her talent for energy control was truly superior to theirs. After just half a morning of practice, she had successfully mastered Kamehameha. I'm not a training freak like you three. If I can't get it right, I'll definitely listen to Goku-sensei and eat and rest. Sakura smiled, then gave an encouraging gesture with a fist pump. Alright, let's eat first. I'm sure you'll all master it this afternoon. After the tiger was chopped into pieces, the grill was suddenly filled with fragrant chunks of meat. It's delicious. This is my first time eating tiger meat, Naruto exclaimed in praise as he devoured the meat. After 2 months of intense physical training, his appetite had far surpassed what it used to be. To compare, he could only eat 1 bowl of Ichiriko ramen at a time, but now he can eat 6. Besides him, the other 3 also had a significant increase in their appetite. Sakura had worried about becoming overweight, but her worries were proven unfounded. Their intense training not only didn't make her fat, but she actually lost some weight. Crunch, crunch, everyone devoured their food, their mouths dripping with oil. In the end, with Goku taking 99% of the food and Naruto and the other 4 taking 1%, the entire tiger was completely devoured. So full. Time for a nap. After rubbing his stomach, Goku, not caring if the ground was dirty, simply lay down, his hands resting on his head, and fell asleep. Naruto and the others were already accustomed to this, so they didn't hesitate either, lying down and falling asleep. Soon, everyone was sound asleep. Not long after they fell asleep, a gray leopard emerged from the nearby woods, gazing at the unsuspecting humans with a murderous glare and salivating with greed. But when it saw the huge bones scattered around them and the giant tiger had discarded nearby, Its neck suddenly retracted, and it fled with its tail between its legs. Damn it, damn it, damn it. This tiger, the king of the nearby forest, had been devoured by these humans. How dare such a small shrimp dare to set its sights on these humans for lunch? Isn't it like an old man eating arsenic, tired of living? While Goku and the others were taking a peaceful nap, in a secret experimental base within the Land of Fire, Orochimaru looked at the experimental sample before him with a rare frown. This sample was taken from the great snake that Naruto and his companions had previously killed. More precisely, it was taken from the part of the snake that had been struck by a ki bomb. During his battle with Naruto and his companions that day, he had noticed an energy in their attack that was different from chakra fluctuations. So, afterward, he promptly cut off the flesh of the great snake, which still contained traces of that energy, intending to study this unknown energy. But to this day, he still hasn't figured out what this energy is. It has some similarities to yin-yang release, but something else is different. What exactly is this? He pondered for a long time, but still couldn't figure it out. To him, all energies in the ninja world, including natural energy, which few people understand, were within his grasp. And now, a new energy he'd never known had suddenly appeared, leaving him both bewildered and itchy. I'm becoming increasingly curious about you, Son Goku. He licked his lips, his frown gradually loosening. If this energy in Naruto and the others was truly due to the man named Son Goku, then this man must be holding a profound secret. The question then became, would he ever get a chance to discover this secret? A gentle breeze rustled across the earth, caressing the 5 sleeping humans. A pale blue butterfly slowly flew in from the distance, circling above Goku and the others for a few moments before somehow landing on Goku's nose. Goku wrinkled his nose subconsciously. Startled by him, the butterfly instantly took to its feet again, fluttering off into the distance. After it departed, Goku awoke from his slumber, sat up, and stretched. I slept so comfortably. The moment he sat up, Naruto and the others woke up at the same time and stretched in the same way. After a while, Naruto stood up first, and said with full of energy, Yo. I will definitely master the Kamehameha wave this afternoon. Thank you all for your follow-up reading. This book has successfully entered the 2nd round. Please continue to support it and let it enter the 3rd round. Go, go, go. Then update the question. It is now in the recommended period, so I can't update it quickly. When it is put on the shelves, I will release more chapters to make everyone enjoy it. Finally, please read it again and again. Important things must be said 3 times, especially the follow-up reading next Tuesday. Whether it can enter the 3rd round depends on the data of that day. Thank you. Chapter 68 Naruto's Kamehameha Wave. Concentrate, gather the energy, control it and concentrate it. In front of the boulder, Naruto bent his legs slightly, placed his hands at his waist in the shape of a calyx, and concentrated his energy. Zzz. Soon, a blue ball of light the size of an apple appeared out of thin air in his palm. The moment it appeared, Naruto's expression grew even more serious. His last few failures that morning had all come at the moment the energy wave was launched. In that moment, he failed to stabilize the energy, causing it to dissipate and the energy wave to fail. Steady, steady. As long as I can steady it, I can succeed. He exhaled softly, exerting all his strength to control the energy in his hands. Then, confident in his ability to succeed, he thrust his hand forward. Whoosh, boom. The blue ball of light suddenly launched, trailing a long tail, and slammed directly into the boulder. Naruto was stunned for a second after seeing this, then leaped to his feet with excitement. I did it. I did it. Nearby, Sasuke and Rock Lee, who were gathering their energy, were so moved by his words that they stopped and looked over. Damn, did we get there first? Rock Lee grumbled, clenching his fists. Naruto, you're really something. Sasuke curled his lips, then silently distanced himself from Naruto, continuing to focus on practicing Kamehameha. This time, he was going to succeed too. Great, Naruto, you take a break. No, you don't need to. Sakura, who was watching Naruto and the others practice, saw that Naruto had also successfully performed Kamehameha and was about to call him to rest, as the move consumed a significant amount of ki. Just like her morning, after performing a Kamehameha, her ki level was nearing its safe limit. But then she suddenly remembered, Naruto possessed far more ki than she did. Once, when they were practicing ki bullets, she had to rest after firing dozens, but Naruto could still fire off hundreds without issue. And now, from her perception, Naruto's ki was only slightly depleted, far from needing a break. I'll practice Kamehameha a few more times before I rest, Naruto chuckled, scratching his head. Sakura held her forehead. It's true that comparison kills. She'd collapse after firing off a single Kamehameha, but Naruto was still full of energy after one, even firing off a few more without a problem. Is this even fair? Even though she'd mastered Kamehameha before him, what good was that? Boom. Just then, another loud bang echoed. Everyone looked over and saw that the giant rock in front of Sasuke had been largely shattered, evidently indicating that he had also successfully mastered Kamehameha. Sasuke managed it too. That's great, Goku, sitting cross-legged on the ground, enjoying a piece of fruit, exclaimed in appreciation. How, that's a truly powerful move. After unleashing the Kamehameha, Sasuke glanced down at his hands, thinking, almost there, as long as I keep improving like this, I'll soon defeat you. A week later, Naruto and the other three had mastered the Kamehameha, and their firing times no longer took as long as before. Remarkably, their experiments revealed that Naruto's ki could sustain 6 Kamehameha bursts without exhaustion. Sasuke could only fire 3, while Rock Lee and Sakura could only fire 1, though their remaining ki wasn't nearly as high as theirs. Yo. Let me see how much energy I can concentrate, Naruto said eagerly. Standing in front of a mountain wall. While a standard Kamehameha requires concentrating all of a person's energy, it's actually fully formed and ready to fire once it reaches a certain level. It doesn't require exhaustion at all. Otherwise, how could he have fired 6 Kamehameha bursts in a row? Now, he wanted to concentrate even more energy, increasing its quality by increasing its quantity, in other words, increasing the power of his Kamehameha waves. Of course, this was significantly more difficult than usual, as it required compressing even more energy, significantly increasing its instability. This was why he had waited until now to give it a try. Go for it, Naruto, Sakura encouraged him. Remember to stabilize the energy. Goku folded his arms, looking at Naruto with a smile. Sasuke and Rock Lee also stood by, watching Naruto's experiment intently. Then I'll begin. With those words, Naruto executed the movements he had mastered by heart and began to concentrate his energy. Zzz. In less than a second, a blue ball of light formed in his palm. But this was just the beginning, the real test lay ahead. After the blue ball took shape, he continued to add concentrated energy. The ball gradually grew larger, its dangerous aura growing stronger. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As the energy increased, the surrounding air was slightly affected, generating a powerful air current. Under the influence of this current, strong winds arose all around, causing gravel on the ground to bounce and fall. What a powerful force, Sakura said solemnly. This level of Kamehameha was already much stronger than she could produce, and it was still increasing. Yes, it's close to the one Sasuke launched earlier, Rock Lee said seriously. Sasuke had already conducted this experiment before Naruto began. Sasuke's results showed that he could simultaneously condense the energy of 3 regular Kamehameha waves. In other words, without collapsing, he could condense 3 regular Kamehameha waves into one. And the power of this one was far beyond his normal power. Naruto. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a complicated expression, his mind unsettled. A little more, on the field, Naruto gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his forehead. Controlling so much energy at once was stressful and challenging, but it also excites him. He could already sense the immense power of his attack, a force clearly surpassing Sasuke's earlier strike. Finally, after feeling himself condense the energy of about 5 regular Kamehameha waves, he realized his control over the energy had reached its limit. If he continued injecting energy, he wouldn't be able to maintain stability, and the Kamehameha wave would surely fail. So, he decided to call it a day, thrusting his hands forward while shouting, Kamehameha, whoosh! The blue ball of light in his hands shot out like a cannonball, blasting straight into the mountain wall before him. The next moment, bang! A thunderous explosion echoed. Immediately afterwards, the mountain wall began to crumble, sending countless rocks tumbling down and a cloud of dust obscuring everyone's view. When the dust cleared, a massive spherical depression, approximately 20 meters in diameter and strewn with countless rubble, emerged. In this book, the safe limit for chi is 10% of each person's total chi. Furthermore, the degree of power one can exert is linked to the strength and amount of chi possessed. Currently, in terms of strength, it's roughly Naruto Sasuke equals Rock Lee, Sakura, slightly greater than. In terms of amount possessed, it's clearly Naruto, Sasuke, Rock Lee, Sakura. So, the power gap is quite clear. This comparison only refers to the above two aspects, not including other aspects. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Bulma's Revelation. Before they knew it, only one day remained until the final round of the Chunin exams. At Sakura's reminder, everyone returned to the village that day, preparing to recharge their batteries for tomorrow's competition. Looks like these days of training have paid off, Kakashi quipped at the side of Naruto and the other three in high spirits at Goku's house. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, we learned a powerful move this time, Naruto said proudly, holding his head. Powerful move? I see. Looks like Goku's taught you something new again. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, curious about the powerful move Naruto was referring to. The moves Goku had taught Naruto and the others were already quite impressive. Take the Ki Bomb, for example. It looked very similar to the Rasengan, but its maneuverability was far greater. Another example was the Taiyoken, Sun Fist. While not particularly powerful, the light it emitted could blind anyone unprepared for a long time. During this time, even a ninja with exceptional perception would struggle to accurately locate their own forces due to the intense pain in their eyes. This presents a perfect opportunity for either a surprise attack or escape. Therefore, in Kakashi's opinion, this move is even more useful than the Ki Bomb. Seeing Kakashi's curiosity, Naruto deliberately kept him in suspense. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, I won't tell you what this ultimate move is just yet. Wait until tomorrow and see if I get a chance to use it and wow you. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, you can look forward to it, Sakura chimed in. Sasuke and Rock Lee also looked at Kakashi with a smile. HMPH, you guys have learned to keep things secret now, Kakashi curled his lips. Since you say so, Naruto, I'll be waiting tomorrow. Knock, knock, knock. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the courtyard door. Excuse me, is this Mr. Sons? Goku, who had been lying on the sofa quietly listening to Naruto and Kakashi's conversation, perked up instantly and rushed out the door. Naruto and the others were also delighted and followed him out the door. In the courtyard, Wukong flung open the door and said cheerfully to the middle-aged man outside, "You're finally here." "I was starving," the middle-aged man chuckled. "Ha ha ha, sorry. I was delayed because I went shopping for some new equipment and ingredients." He then walked into the courtyard, retrieved 2 storage scrolls, and unleashed a spell. Bang! 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 In an instant, the courtyard was filled with a variety of cooking utensils and a dazzling array of ingredients. "Everyone, get ready and get to work. This is a groundbreaking project for us. We must complete it and satisfy our guests." The middle-aged man clapped his hands and shouted to the dozen or so men who followed him with solemn expressions. Yes, the men responded in unison and immediately began preparing the ingredients and cooking the food. After watching his men move swiftly, the middle-aged man turned to Goku and said with a smile, "Mr. Son, you and the other guests please go inside and wait. The dishes will be served shortly." All right, looking at the scattered ingredients on the floor and smelling the delicious aromas that were just beginning to waft through the air, Goku's mouth watered. Normally, they would have been feasting at one of the village restaurants. But today, Goku suddenly thought, could they have the restaurant chef come to prepare the food? He had this idea because Bulma had often hosted lavish banquets at her home, which had left a lasting impression on him. Naruto and the others were stunned by his idea. They had never heard of a restaurant chef coming to prepare food in person. After careful consideration, they all agreed it was feasible, so they went to their regular restaurant and spoke to the owner, the middle-aged man standing before them. After learning the price could be increased by 1.5 times, the middle-aged man immediately decided to take the order and guarantee the customer's satisfaction. Thus unfolded the present scene. "Come on, Goku-sensei, let's go inside and wait." Sakura glanced at the chefs working furiously in the courtyard and wheeled Goku inside. Unfortunately, according to Goku-sensei's description, they should have been waiting for their meal in the courtyard. After all, dining in a courtyard is more romantic than dining inside. However, Goku-sensei's courtyard wasn't large enough. After all, With all the ingredients and utensils, there wasn't enough space for them to dine. Just as Goku and his friends were enjoying their meal at home, an important guest arrived at the gates of Konoha village. "Welcome, Kazekage, to our Konoha. You've come so long, and I'm truly sorry for the hardship." Sarutobi Hiruzen, having already received the news, stood at the gate with a smile, greeting the fourth Kazekage, Raza, who had come all the way. "Haha, Hokage-sama, thank you for waiting for us so long," Raza replied with a smile. "Let's go, Kazekage-sama. It's not right for us in Konoha to keep you here. We've prepared a dinner for you. You and your men are invited to attend." Sarutobi Hiruzen gestured. "Then I shall obey your command." Elsewhere, in a dark basement, upon receiving news of Raza's arrival in Konoha, Danzo frowned in confusion. Why did this Orochimaru guy come so early? Isn't he afraid of exposing his identity? In the plan, he and Orochimaru were conspiring to use Tsunagakure as a pawn in their plan to bring Konoha down. To control this pawn, they decided to assassinate the fourth Kazekage, Raza, before he arrived in Konoha, and then have Orochimaru take his place to observe the Chunin exams. This would ensure that the other ninjas in Tsunagakure would adhere to the plan and prevent Raza from reaching an agreement with Sarutobi Hiruzen and then destroying the plan. He can also approach Sarutobi Hiruzen openly, and after the plan is launched, he can be trapped and ambushed. It can be said to kill two birds with one stone. Since Raza has been assassinated, Orochimaru cannot arrive in Konoha in advance. Because there are ninjas from the Sands village in Konoha. Once they know that their own Kazekage has arrived in Konoha, these people will definitely go to see him. In the process, if a Sands ninja who is familiar with the Kazekage finds something wrong, then the fact that Orochimaru replaced the Kazekage will be exposed. By then, let alone the plan going smoothly, it is not certain whether Orochimaru can escape from the joint siege of Konoha and Sands village. Therefore, Danzo is now very confused. In the plan, Orochimaru should arrive before the start of the final match tomorrow, so as to avoid contact with the Sand Ninja and ensure that his identity will not be exposed to the greatest extent. But why did Orochimaru arrive in Konoha now? Chapter 70, Final Round begins, list of matches revealed. The next morning. Have you heard? Today is the final round of the Chunin exams. 10 incredibly powerful ninjas have already been chosen, and these same 10 will be competing again today. It's going to be quite exciting. I know everything you're talking about. And I know something you don't. Oh? What's that? It's said that this Chunin exam is a joint effort between several ninja villages, and one of the 10 ninjas competing in the final round is from another village, and I hear he's quite powerful. Really? I have to go see this match today. Come on, let's go buy our tickets. It'll be too late. Conversations like this were everywhere in Konoha village that morning. Upon hearing that the Chunin exams, which only happen once in years, would be held today, many villagers wanted to go and watch. After all, their daily lives were quite lacking in entertainment. This was a rare opportunity, so they certainly couldn't miss it. In a vast open-air arena, Goku, seated in the VIP seats, watched the steady stream of spectators pour in and exclaimed in amazement, "What a crowd!" As far as he could remember, only the later Tenkaichi martial arts tournament, after expanding its seating capacity, could boast crowds comparable to this one. Haha. It's all about generating revenue, Kakashi casually retorted. If they didn't rake in the cash for such a rare competition, how could they justify the trouble of inviting other ninja villages to participate? Goku-sensei, Kakashi-sensei, it looks like they were about to start drawing lots, Sakura warned them, catching sight of the scene on the playing field. In the center of the arena, Gekko Heiei, who hadn't discovered Kabuto and Maki's conspiracy and was subsequently killed by Maki as in the original story, was drawing lots for the 10 contestants in front of him. I'm number 6, Naruto was the first to remove the ball of paper from the lottery box. He opened it and realized he was number 6. Which competition is number 6 in, Chief Examiner? He asked Gekko Heiei curiously. A frown crossed Gekko Heiei's forehead. He was only 23, and this damned brat actually called him uncle. Resisting the urge to beat the brat up, he said expressionlessly, "You'll find out in a minute." As he spoke, Sasuke stepped forward to draw. Number 9, he said to Chunin beside Gekko Heiei, who was holding a small notebook and writing something down. After Naruto announced his number, the Chunin had been writing something down in the notebook, which made him immediately guess that it was Naruto's number. Then, Rock Lee, Neji, Gaara, and the other 8 people stepped forward and each drew their own number. After everyone finished drawing, the Chunin paused and handed the notebook to Gecko Hayate. Ahem, let me see. Gecko Hayate took it, examined it, and raised an eyebrow in surprise. This battle list is interesting, muttering to himself. He turned the notebook over, revealing the match list to the 10 contestants in front of him. Look. These are your next opponents. Hearing this, Naruto swooped forward, his eyes wide open as he examined them closely. Let me see. Number 1, Rock Lee, versus number 2, Hyuga Neji. Huh? The one with the thick eyebrows is his teammate, Naruto said, turning to look at Rock Lee behind him. Rock Lee looked a little surprised, clearly having heard Naruto's words. But his surprise quickly turned to excitement. Neji. I can finally have a proper match with you, he said, tears welling in his eyes as he looked at Neji. He had been looking forward to this match for ages. Besides the fact that Neji was a goal he had long wanted to surpass, more importantly, he wanted to defeat him and tell him, everyone's destiny is in their own hands, and they can change it on their own. Lee, I'm looking forward to my match with you, Neji said with a gentle smile. Although he still felt that fate was unbreakable, he still had a certain respect for his teammate, who constantly trained hard, believing he could surpass genius through hard work. He could sense that his teammate's strength had improved significantly, which fueled his anticipation. After all, from childhood to adulthood, no one among his peers had ever been a match for him. The second match is Ten versus Chaoji, the third match is against Gaara. Naruto's eyes lit up when he saw the match list for the third match. What a coincidence. His opponent was Gaara, with whom they had a previous conflict. Ever since that pesky guy tried to harm Sakura, he'd been itching to give him a good beating. However, Kakashi-sensei said that the man had come a long way to take the exam, and it wouldn't be appropriate to cause trouble outside of the exams. This put a damper on his desire to challenge him. My opponent is Uzumaki Naruto. Gaara also saw the match list for this match. Though his face remained expressionless, his body was already trembling with excitement. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and the like had long been on his must-kill list, and now, seeing the chance to take one down first, he was naturally thrilled. Haha, Sasuke, your match is actually the last one, and your opponent is Shikamaru, Naruto teased upon seeing Sasuke's match was last. For both of them, the sooner their matches started, the better, because waiting too long would bore them to death. Tisk, Sasuke pouted. His luck was truly awful. And his opponent, Shikamaru, was now scowling. Oh, how annoying. Why am I facing this guy? Back when they were still in school, Sasuke had always been the top player in their grade in practical combat. And the prowess Sasuke had displayed in the preliminaries 2 weeks ago had left him speechless. Under Temari's terrifying wind-style ninjutsu, Sasuke not only withstood it with his body, but even emerged unscathed, leaving him with a profound impact. And now, his opponent turned out to be such a formidable figure, he might as well just kill him. From the highest spectator stand within the stadium, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Raza arrived together. Lord Kazekage, are you getting used to living in Konoha yesterday? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with a smile. It's quite nice, the weather is pleasant here, and I'd really like to stay here for a while longer. Would Hokage-sama agree? A gleam flashed in Raza's eyes. Haha, why not? After the exams, Lord Kazekage can stay in Konoha for a few more days, true to his motto of making his allies feel at home. Sarutobi Hiruzen readily agreed without further ado. Oh? Thank you very much, Raza chuckled, thinking to himself, HMPH, after today, you'll probably be dying to kick me out. Please read these next 2 days. Especially tomorrow, whether we can make it to the third round will depend on tomorrow's data. Thank you all so much. Now, let's talk about ki. I personally believe that ki is a qualitative and quantitative comparison. Quality refers to the strength of ki, quantity refers to the amount of ki possessed. Without comparing these two things, how can we judge whether someone's ki is strong or not? After all, strength is just a concept, without any basis. The old bird didn't explain it, probably because he thought it was troublesome, but in fact, based on some plots, we can see that there is some, such as the fusion of the Namekians, which is a quantitative change leading to a qualitative change. Secondly, I personally think that the amount of chi possessed by each life is basically constant, which depends on their talent, and training is mainly to improve the strength of the chi and to tap the chi hidden in the body. Take Gohan, for example, there are a lot of chi hidden in his body that have not been developed, and then it was developed and guided out by the old Kai, and he became stronger in an instant. But if you change it to Krillin, even if you develop it for him, he will definitely not be able to compare with Gohan. This is the difference in talent. Finally, why is the chi possession, that is, talent, ranking set as Naruto, Sasuke, Rock Lee and Sakura? Because Naruto is from the Uzumaki clan, his vitality exceeds many people, so I think he should have the most chi, and Sasuke is from the Uchiha clan, although he is worse than Naruto, but he should be stronger than civilians like Rock Lee and Rock Lee. Finally, comprehensive strength is definitely not just about judging whether the ki is strong, but also about whether the moves are powerful, whether the combat awareness is sufficient, whether the control of ki is proficient, etc. If you still don't like the quality, just treat it as a second setting. Chapter 71 Destiny Can Be Changed, Niji. Dear guests, fellow villagers, thank you for coming to watch the final match of our Chunin selection exam. I declare the match is open. From the stands, Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice boomed like a bell, ringing out to everyone in the arena. Is it finally starting? I'm so excited. Sakura gazed at the arena with a burning gaze. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it too. I want to see what ultimate move you'll teach them, Goku. Kakashi's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Haha, Goku rubbed his nose, smiling silently as he gazed at the arena. I declare the first match, Rock Lee vs Hyuga Niji, officially begins. After Gecko Gale's announcement, only Rock Lee and Niji remained on the field. Ninji, I've been looking forward to this match for so long, but before we begin, I have something to say to you. Rock Lee didn't rush into the fight, but instead prepared to speak to Niji. Oh? Go ahead, Niji said calmly. Do you remember? I was once ridiculed as a laggard because I couldn't do ninjutsu or genjutsu. At that time, I vowed that even if I only knew taijutsu, I would become an excellent ninja. I still remember you mocking me, saying that I would never achieve my goal, so I was furious and wanted to duel you, but you easily defeated me. Rock Lee looked at Niji with a blazing gaze and recounted these past events. And what do you want to say? Niji narrowed his eyes slightly. I want to prove that even those without talent can surpass geniuses through hard work, and you are the genius I want to surpass. Rock Lee's thick eyebrows rose sharply, and his entire body seemed to be burning with a blazing fire of fighting spirit. Is that all, Lee? Niji remained calm after hearing Rock Lee's declaration. He had known for a long time that Rock Lee wanted to surpass him. No, there's more. Just when he thought their pre-match discussion was over, Rock Lee suddenly uttered a powerful statement that made his pupils shrink. I have one more thing to prove to you. Fate can be changed. Niji. Rock Lee stared at him intently, uttering the words he hated to hear the most. Are you kidding? He clenched his fists, his expression utterly distorted. Everyone's fate is predetermined from birth, and no one can change it. As a member of a branch family of the Hyuga clan, he had been inscribed with a suffocating caged bird curse by the main family since childhood. Under this curse, his life and death were controlled by the main family, requiring him to protect them for the rest of his life. In essence, his fate was sealed. His father's subsequent death further solidified his conviction. A person's fate is fixed from birth and cannot be altered. I'm not kidding, Niji, Rock Lee said firmly. He didn't know the specific reasons behind his assertion, but he firmly believed it was wrong. Fate is in our own hands and can be changed. If someone like me, once a laggard, defeats someone like you, always hailed as a genius, doesn't that prove that fate can be changed? Hearing his resolute words, Niji was silent for a moment, then sneered. Ha, Rock Lee, while I admit your strength has greatly improved, you're underestimating me, and all talk isn't your style. If you want to prove it, then defeat me first. With that, he launched into the opening stance of his soft fist technique. Clearly, he no longer wanted to waste time on Rock Lee. Alright, Rock Lee said nothing more and also launched into the opening stance. After all, only true defeat could convince the opponent. The contestants' waiting area. They're finally starting. They've been dragging their feet for so long, Naruto grumbled as he saw them finally about to begin. And that teammate with the thick eyebrows is so pessimistic, saying something stupid like fate is predetermined. I, for one, never believed that. He thought of himself, once a friendless, uncaring loser, yet now he's blessed with friendships and surpasses many of his peers. This guy must be carrying something on his shoulders. Sasuke folded his arms, silent. Nijini, Hinata watched this scene with a downcast look. She knew why Niji felt that way, but she couldn't change it, even as the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan. Little Lee, Niji, you two, keep going, As teammates, Ten offered both of their blessings without favoritism. Just as they stared intently at the field, Rock Lee and Niji finally moved. Whoosh! Rock Lee moved like the wind, appearing in front of Niji in the blink of an eye. Konoha Whirlwind. Although he had learned many fighting techniques from Goku, he had mastered the Konoha Whirlwind technique so thoroughly that it became a physical memory, unleashing it instinctively upon every strike. Byakugan. Veins bulged at the corners of Niji's eyes, signaling he had unleashed the Byakugan, the Hyuga clan's Kekkei Genkai. With the Byakugan activated, he possessed an almost all-around vision, rendering the vast majority of his opponent's attacks invisible. Thus, Rock Lee's attack proved a minor nuisance to him, easily intercepting it. Even after taking it, he inched closer, his fingers darting towards Rock Lee. Rock Lee quickly retreated, deflecting Niji's attack. "Are you going to use acupressure?" He looked at Niji gravely. As Niji's teammate, he was well aware of the technique his opponent had just employed. The Hyuga clan's Byakugan, in addition to expanding their field of vision, could also reveal meridians and acupuncture points within the human body. The acupressure technique the opponent had just used was intended to block the flow of chakra by hitting acupuncture points on his body. If successful, his body would normally lose strength and become unable to move. "I wonder if this kind of acupressure will suppress chi," he pondered as he took precautions. While chi permeates the entire body, it doesn't flow through meridians, and it's not the same energy as chakra. While acupressure wouldn't affect it, it wouldn't necessarily hurt if it were hit. But what if it were? "What? You don't dare to fight me in close combat?" Seeing him retreat and cease his attack, Niji curled his lips. "No, I'm just thinking about how to break your acupressure technique." Rock Lee smiled and began to untie the weights. After careful consideration, he decided to use his speed to overpower the opponent, denying him the opportunity to hit acupuncture points, thus avoiding all risks. "Oh? Just relying on your weights?" Niji shrugged. He knew that Rock Lee had been training with Naruto and the others recently, so he must have carried a similar weight as Sakura. But he didn't think it was a big deal. Sakura's speed in the preliminaries was astonishing, even a taijutsu prowess like him couldn't match it. But don't forget, he possesses the incredibly perceptive Byakugan. With his Byakugan, no matter how fast an opponent is, they can't escape his grasp. Please read more tomorrow. Chapter 72, Beyblade Fist? Niji's confusion. Ninji, Rock Lee has grown far beyond his years. If you're careless, you might easily fall to his hand. Might Guy, observing Niji's indifference to Rock Lee removing his weight, thought to himself from the viewing platform. His disciple had always been inherently proud. He had been undefeated from childhood to adulthood, a leader among his peers and even hailed as a genius. It was precisely for this reason that, when his team, Team 3, was first formed, Rock Lee, the last in line, was not immediately in his sight. It wasn't until he witnessed Rock Lee's relentless training day after day and felt his extraordinary willpower that he finally recognized him. And now, even though he considered Rock Lee a worthy opponent, a certain contempt still lingered deep within him. Bang! 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 After casually setting the weight aside, Rock Lee stretched his joints. "Huh? I haven't felt this relaxed in ages." Naruto and the others had taken off their weights for a while after their encounter with Orochimaru, but he hadn't. Ever since he put on the weights over a month ago, he'd never taken them off completely. "Sorry to have kept you waiting." After a few more stretches, he assumed a starting stance and looked at Niji with a beaming look. "Come on," Niji said without further ado, waving his hand. Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, Rock Lee suddenly vanished, leaving behind only a slowly fading afterimage. Behind, Niji, constantly monitoring his opponent's movements, quickly spotted his location the moment he vanished. Without a second thought, he turned. Swish! Suddenly, Rock Lee appeared behind him, charging at him with a whip kick. Bang! He raised his hand to block, but although he took the blow, he inevitably took a step back. What a powerful force! Feeling the immense power in his hand, his pupils constricted. Although his opponent's strength was great before, it wasn't comparable to his. Unexpectedly, after shedding his burden, his strength surpassed his. After Rock Lee's attack failed, he vanished again, reappearing on the other side to launch another attack. Bang! Niji spun around and blocked again. Then, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang, bang bang. The two exchanged attacks and defenses like this for over 10 consecutive moves. From the viewing platform, Seeing Niji at a disadvantage, Hyuga clan leader Hayashi Hinata was a little stunned. How is this possible? He knew Niji's strength. Even without the powerful physical techniques reserved for the main family, his physical skills were unmatched among the new generation of the Hyuga clan. And their Hyuga clan's physical skills were the strongest in Konoha. In close combat, they were unmatched. But Niji was now being outmatched in close combat by a commoner-born Jin'an, a fact that surprised him nonetheless. But before his amazement lasted long, the scene before him intensified his astonishment once more. This time, his surprise wasn't directed at Rock Lee, but at Niji. How did he even know this move? On the field, Niji felt a noticeable numbness in his body as Rock Lee's powerful and swift attack swept through him. This was because his opponent was far more powerful and his attack speed was so great that his body couldn't quickly recover from each blow. This can't go on, Niji thought to himself after blocking another attack. If he continued to defend like this, his body would eventually become sluggish. Then, let alone counterattack, he would likely be struck by Rock Lee's attacks. And even a single strike would undoubtedly inflict significant damage. After that, defeat was inevitable. He took a deep breath, his eyes fixed as Rock Lee launched another attack. Kaiten, a surge of chakra suddenly erupted from his entire body, and he spun like a top, instantly deflecting Rock Lee's attack. Ah, that move. In the stands, Goku blinked and scratched his head after seeing Niji's move. It was very similar to the B-blade punch he'd created as a child. Both used the opponent's high-speed rotation to send them flying. The only difference was that his move relied solely on his body, while Niji's also utilized his internal energy. Wow, that's an interesting move. I wonder what it's called. In the contestant waiting area, Naruto raised an eyebrow at the Kaiten move. It's called Bagwazhang Kaiten. Tenten answered his question and explained, it's Niji's defensive move. He uses the rotation of his body and the massive release of chakra to deflect all attacks. It's an absolute defense even stronger than Gaara's. As she finished her sentence, she glanced at Gaara standing alone in the corner. But Gaara seemed oblivious to her words, his expression unchanged. Is that so? Naruto nodded thoughtfully, then continued to gaze at the field. He saw Rock Lee being unexpectedly sent flying after Niji used Kaiten. But he remained calm, clutching his legs and spinning in the air a few times before landing steadily on the ground. Kaiten, he stopped attacking and instead reflected on Niji's Kaiten move. As Niji's teammate, he knew the power of Kaiten. He had been sent flying by it before when he had activated the 8 gates of ninjutsu, completely unable to counter it. But now, he felt confident he could break it. Ultimately, Kaiten was simply a move that used the Byakugan's insight to sense an attack beforehand, allowing for a timely defense. However effective the defense, it relied on one crucial prerequisite, the body's ability to defend in time. In other words, if one's speed was so great that the opponent had no time to react, even if they sensed the attack, it would be of no use. While he pondered, Niji also didn't attack. Instead, he took the opportunity to recover and let the numbness dissipate. Little Lee, your strength? He looked at Rock Lee with a complicated expression as he recovered. Only now did he finally understand why Rock Lee had said those words to him earlier, why he had seemed so confident. Because with his current strength, he truly had a chance of defeating him. But even so, I won't give up so easily. Although he understood that Rock Lee might win, it was only a possibility. He would never give up until the final outcome was decided. With both of them making up their minds, the aura of both men intensified. The next moment, Niji took a stance, ready to unleash his ultimate move, the 8 trigram 64 palms, on Rock Lee within his bagua. But before he could unleash it, Rock Lee erupted with a surge of white energy. Then, with lightning speed, and the moment his pupils dilated, a fierce kick landed on his abdomen. Puff! He felt a sweet sensation in his throat, and blood spurted out. At the same time, his body flew backwards uncontrollably, crashing into the wall at an extremely fast speed. But just as he was about to hit it, Rock Lee suddenly appeared behind him and caught him steadily. Xiaoli, you! He barely retained a trace of consciousness, looking at Rock Lee in front of him with a dazed and confused look. Had he completely lost? Chapter 73. Even the last one can defeat a genius. He actually lost, and what kind of energy is this? Shock crossed Hayashi Hinata's face in the viewing stands. This shock was only partially due to Niji's defeat, but more so to the white energy emanating from Rock Lee. He had already activated his Byakugan, and observing it with his eyes, it was clear that Rock Lee's energy wasn't chakra, but a different kind of energy. Even more bizarrely, he couldn't see any trace of this energy within him, as if it had emerged from nowhere. How is this possible? Faced with this illogical scene, even as the clan leader, he couldn't help but feel a wave of anxiety. Elsewhere, on the highest viewing platform, Raza narrowed his eyes. Is this an illusion? As a ninja possessing a Kekkei Genkai and mastering it to perfection, he understood chakra fluctuations better than many. So, the moment Rock Lee exploded, he sensed something amiss with the energy fluctuations, something that didn't resemble chakra. However, due to the distance and Rock Lee's burst of energy lasting only a few seconds, he couldn't confirm this, leaving him somewhat skeptical. After a few seconds of thought, he subtly asked Sarutobi Hirozen, "Hokage-sama, your Konoha is truly full of talent. Someone can actually defeat the Hyuga clan, known for their supreme taijutsu skills." Sarutobi Hirozen, a seasoned veteran, knew he was trying to get him to introduce Rock Lee. But regardless of Rock Lee's rapidly increasing importance in his heart, there was no way he would reveal his personal information to an outsider. Even if it wasn't important, as the Hokage of Konoha, he wouldn't casually share information about his own ninja with a so-called ally. So, he smiled and replied, "Haha, it's always been that way in Konoha. When the old leaves fall, new ones sprout and grow." At his flawless, meaningless response, Raza's eyes twitched slightly, and he silently cursed him. "What a fox, haha, Hokage-sama is absolutely right." While the two old foxes were conversing, several medical personnel quickly arrived on the playing field below to examine Niji. A moment later, one of them addressed Gekko Heiei, who was standing nearby, saying, "Your internal organs are concussed, and there's a small amount of bleeding, but it's nothing serious. With treatment and a week of recuperation in the hospital, you should be fully recovered." "Okay, I see." Gekko Heiei nodded, then said to the relieved Rock Lee, "That's reassuring, isn't it?" "Yes, yes. Thank you, Examiner." Rock Lee bowed. In order to achieve a decisive blow, he had simply maximized his ki output. In other words, this is called extreme ki burst. In this state, the rate of ki consumption is increased to an extreme, but in return, both physical strength and speed experience a qualitative leap. Therefore, even though he subconsciously held back when he kicked Niji, the force still exceeded the imagination of ordinary people. For this reason, he quickly caught the opponent, preventing him from suffering secondary damage, and hurriedly had Gekko Gale call for medical personnel to examine him, fearing he had sustained serious injuries from his blow. Meanwhile, Niji, after a long period of days, finally came to his senses. He looked at him and curled his lips. "Haha, Rock Lee, you're really underestimating me, although the speed of your attack was indeed beyond my imagination, leaving me unable to even move, but I can still resist by concentrating my chakra within me." If he hadn't concentrated some chakra in defense at the last moment, his injuries would have been far more serious, let alone his ability to retain consciousness. Without waiting for Rock Lee to reply, he muttered to himself, "I didn't expect I'd actually lose. Rock Lee, can fate really be changed?" He had never imagined that he would one day lose to this former loser. After all, in his mind, losers are losers. No matter how hard they try, they can never catch up to geniuses. This is the fate of losers. But today, his beliefs were shattered. Rock Lee demonstrated with his actions that even the worst of the best could surpass geniuses through hard work and break their supposedly predetermined fate. Of course, Rock Lee looked at him and said firmly, "Destiny can definitely be changed, so, Niji, please stop harboring such pessimistic views. If you're dissatisfied with your current fate, please work hard and devote all your youth to it. I believe that with your hard work, you can definitely change your destiny." He then silently said to himself, "Well, hard work might also require a bit of luck. If he hadn't learned the chi, he wouldn't have been able to guarantee victory right now." It showed that besides hard work, luck was also an essential factor. But he definitely wouldn't tell him that right now. Niji fell silent after hearing this, and Gekko Gale, beside him, interrupted, "Alright, if you want to chat, let's do it later. Others still have to compete." With that, he signaled the medical staff to carry Niji away. "Oh, sorry." Realizing he was occupying the playing field, Rock Lee hurriedly apologized and helped the medical staff carry Niji off the field. After they left, Gekko Heiei announced to the spectators, "Ahem, first match, the winner is Rock Lee." "Huh? Win already? What? I didn't even see what happened." Many in the audience were stunned by the outcome of the first match. They could still see Neji, as he had been passively taking the beating. But Rock Lee was different. His lightning speed completely exceeded their visual perception. From the moment he started, they could barely make out a glimpse of him. And that final blow was completely invisible to them. They hadn't even realized what had happened. In the blink of an eye, Neji was sent flying, the medical staff arrived, and the match was declared over. They were left to wonder in the stands. Huh. That last blow from thick eyebrows was really fast. Sasuke, can you take it? In the waiting area, watching Rock Lee and the medical staff leave the competition venue, Naruto grinned and turned to ask Sasuke. Huh? What's the big deal? Can't you take it? Sasuke crossed his arms, curled his lips confidently, and asked back at the end. If you can take it, I must be able to take it too, Naruto said with a grin. On the side, after hearing their conversation, Tenten, who was still shocked by Neji's defeat by Rock Lee, looked at them with some doubt. Do they really have this ability or are they just bragging? Chapter 74 Inside and Outside the Field. Outside Konoha village, in a secluded wooded area, a fiery-haired woman was reporting something to Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, all our ninjas from Atagakure have arrived. Now we're just waiting for the people from Sand Village, HMPH, those people are so slow. Before Orochimaru could reply, a feminine man wearing green lipstick snapped. Don't rush, Sakura. It's still early. Orochimaru glanced at him, a sinister smile plastered on his face. Then, turning to the fiery-haired woman, he said, Teiuaya, you'll be in charge of those people for now. Don't let them make any noise. We still have to wait for our allies. He licked his lips and cast a sinister glance towards Konoha, as if he saw Raiza waiting inside to join him. Fourth Kazekage, you've saved your life this time, but you must make this a big deal. A gleam of insight flashed in his eyes. According to his original plan, he was to assassinate Raiza on his way to Konoha, then disguise himself as him and infiltrate the Chunin exams. He would then kill Sarutobi Hiruzen during Konoha's collapse plan, thus completing the plot he had conspired with Danzo. However, this required ensuring Sasuke's capture. After all, he considered Sasuke's capture far more important than completing his plan with Danzo. Especially since Sasuke possessed that mysterious energy in addition to the Sharingan's power, his desperation for Sasuke was even greater. However, not only did his initial deception plan fail, but his subsequent attempt to abduct him also failed, as he was protected by the unknown Son Goku. If he had continued his abduction plan, he would have had to engage in combat with Son Goku. The noise of the battle would have attracted the other ninjas within Konoha, and he would have been surrounded. Even though he prided himself on his strength, he wasn't confident that he and his men alone could withstand Konoha's siege. So, in the end, he abandoned his conspiracies with Danzo and instead wholeheartedly joined forces with Sunagakure to implement the Konoha destruction plan. He hoped that Sunagakure would help him draw attention to the plan, allowing him to exploit the situation and abduct Sasuke. Even though Goku discovered him and threatened to engage him, he remained unfazed, having prepared his trump card. In the final match, after Rock Lee and Neji's match, the match between Tenten and Choji began. Hidden weapon explosion. Tenten opened her sealing scroll and unleashed a barrage of hidden weapons at Choji. Wah! In his current form, all those hidden weapons were rendered ineffective, repelled by his body. So, now it was Tenten's turn to run. PFFT, Sakura, watching this from the stands, found it quite amusing and couldn't help but laugh. But she quickly dropped her smile, feeling somewhat melancholy. They'd made it to the finals, after all, what right did she, who could only watch from the stands, have to laugh at them? What's wrong, Sakura? Kakashi, who was starting to feel somewhat bored, asked, seeing her alternately smiling and grimacing. Hearing Kakashi's words, Goku, who had been enjoying the match, turned his head and blinked in confusion at the two of them. It's nothing, haha. I was just wondering when Naruto and Sasuke would appear. Sakura, not wanting her negative emotions to affect the two teachers, laughed and changed the subject. Seeing this, Kakashi didn't ask any further questions, casually replying, it should be soon. The first round only has 5 matches. And we're already in the second. At least 2 of the remaining 3 matches have already begun. At this point, his voice trailed off. Since the match list hadn't been released to them, they still didn't know who was playing against whom. He was about to say that at least 2 of the matches would be between Naruto and Sasuke, but then it occurred to him that if Naruto and Sasuke were rivals, then there would only be one. That shouldn't be the case. Sakura cleverly guessed the reason for his half-sentence and twitched her lips with a slight sweat. If Naruto and Sasuke were to become rivals so soon, that would be incredibly bad luck. While they were conversing, the match off the court was also being decided. While attacking Tenten with another human bomb chariot, Chaji suddenly transformed into his original form after Tenten dodged and used his arm multiplication technique to strike Tenten, catching her off guard and knocking her unconscious. Ahem, the winner of the second match is Akimichi Chaoji. Moonlight T8 announced the result. That was a fantastic fight, that's right. This is a truly exhilarating battle. This time, the audience cheered enthusiastically. Because only a down-to-earth fight like this, one they could clearly see, could truly be truly enjoyable. In the contestant waiting area. Hey, it's finally my turn. Naruto rubbed his hands, eager to give it a try. If only there had been a chance, he would have wanted to beat up Gar long ago. And today, luck favored him, allowing him to get his wish. How could he not be overjoyed? HMPH, hurry up and finish this, don't delay my match. Seeing his excitement, Sasuke curled his lips in dissatisfaction. Of the other 9 contestants, besides Naruto and Rock Lee, Gaara was the only one who piqued his interest, but Naruto had snatched him away, much to his dismay. Hey, Sasuke, don't worry. I'll take my time. Seeing his annoyance, Naruto felt a pep in his step. He leaned closer to him, emphasizing the word slowly. Then, without giving him a chance to reply, he swooped out of the waiting area. Sasuke's mouth twitched. He thought to himself that if he faced Naruto in a future match, he would definitely hang him up and beat him. Whether he could do it was another matter. Suddenly, his eyes flickered, and he glanced to his right. Gaara, who had been staying in the corner, suddenly came within a meter of him, staring straight ahead. His tone was calm, and he said, "Don't worry. I'll take care of him quickly, and then I'll take care of you." With that, Gaara headed towards the competition area. Watching him from behind, Sasuke raised an eyebrow, his lips curling up. Haha, interesting. Suddenly, a thought struck him. Did everyone go play Black Goku yesterday? Chapter 75 Naruto vs Gaara. Look, it's Naruto. Sakura cheered as she saw him appear on the field from the VIP seats. It's finally his turn for the third match. I wonder who his opponent will be, but I hope it's not Sasuke. After cheering, she clasped her hands together, praying that Naruto's opponent wouldn't be Sasuke. A moment later, a light bulb went off in her eyes. I knew it wouldn't be Sasuke. Wait, this person isn't Sasuke. Because she had been praying that the next contestant wouldn't be Sasuke, she became so excited when she saw the figure wasn't Sasuke that she completely forgot who it was. It wasn't until she took a closer look that she realized it was Gaara, her opponent from a while ago. She blinked, stunned for a few seconds, then stood up, waving her arms and shouting, "Go! Naruto! Give him a good beating." Because of Gaara's menacing aura, she hadn't had a favorable impression of him since they first met. After Gaara's apparent murderous intent when she conceded defeat, her dislike for him grew even stronger. Seeing him as Naruto's opponent, she was overjoyed and felt compelled to cheer him on. Naruto, who was on the field, heard her voice and looked over. "Don't worry, Sakura. I'll avenge you." He then gave her a big yeah. Come on. Fight well, everyone. You guy with a gourd on his back, don't let your spirit down. Most of the audience, oblivious to their feud, simply joined in the booing. Some even took the initiative to cheer Gaara on, seeing he had no support. However, Gaara didn't appreciate the gesture and shot a cold glance at the cheering spectator. "Shut up. What a scary look." Feeling his gaze, the spectator felt a chill run down his spine, breaking out in a cold sweat, and dared not say another word. From the highest spectator stand, Sarutobi heroes and watched the scene unfold. He asked Raza with a chuckle, "I heard this young man is the child of Lord Kazekage." Raza, staring expressionlessly at Gaara, averted his gaze at his question, then replied with a hint of a smile, "Yes, he's my third child. His name is Gaara." "Oh? Like father, like son, like father. Your son's aura is quite remarkable now." No, he still has a long way to go." Raza appeared pleased by Sarutobi Hiruzen's praise, but inwardly he thought coldly, he's just a project on the verge of failure. If he can't perform as intended in this plan, it proves he's a complete failure, unworthy of being my child. "Hey, are you done? Hurry and start the match." Inside the arena, Gaara said coldly to Moonlight Gale, who was reciting the rules. "Haha, you're so impatient. Moonlight Gale raised an eyebrow and, without further ado, announced, "The third match, Uzumaki Naruto vs. Gaara, officially begins." Swish. As soon as he finished speaking, the guard on Gaara's back opened. Immediately, a cloud of sand gushed out, sweeping fiercely towards Naruto. Ha! Not bad. Naruto remained unfazed by the sudden onslaught of sand, even managing to grin. Just as the sand threatened to engulf him, he did a series of backflips, calmly dodging the blow. Then, with another powerful kick, he swiftly moved to the side, preparing to avoid the sand's attack on Gaara. However, despite his speed, Gaara's sand was even faster. When he was still 2 or 3 meters away, the sand moved back in front of Gaara, blocking his advance. First, test the hardness of this sand. Naruto's eyes flashed, and even though he saw the sand blocking his path, he pressed on. He wanted to see just how effective the sand was at defending him. Bang! He slammed his fist into the solid wall, instantly punching a hole through it. It seems nothing special. Having tested the sand wall's defensive effectiveness, he felt reassured and quickly withdrew. But Gaara wouldn't let him retreat so easily. He immediately controlled the sand to envelop him. He takes some of my key shots. This time, because the sand was too close, he retreated while simultaneously condensing several key shots in each hand and blasting them at the encircling sand. Boom! 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 In an instant, most of the sand was shattered. The remaining small portion continued to surround Naruto, but he easily dodged them. Hey! What moves do you have left? Use them all, don't bother trying. I'm going to defeat you. After retreating a distance, Naruto challenged Gaara while untying his weights. While wearing the weights, his speed couldn't even match the sand. Without them, the sand wouldn't even be able to touch his shadow. Gaara curled his lips into a bloodthirsty grin. He raised his hand and gathered the scattered sand. The next moment, swish, swish, swish. Like machine gun fire, a volley of cylindrical sand bullets hurled themselves at Naruto, dense and rapid. This was Gaara's continuous sand grenade, powerful enough to rip rock into a sieve. Seeing this, Naruto, who had just removed his 2 weighted wristbands, was struck by a flash of light. He didn't dodge, but stood still, intently waiting for the sand bullets to strike. When the sand bullets reached him, swish, swish, swish. He leaned sideways, ducked his head, struck in S shape, or adopted other bizarre poses, dodging every incoming sand bullet. Ooh, good job! Seeing Naruto so naughtily dodge all of Gaara's sand bullets, the audience cheered with fervor. Naruto is truly... Sakura helplessly held her forehead. Although she knew Naruto's strength would likely prevent him from being hit by these sand bullets, she couldn't help but sweat. Can't he just use his full strength and defeat his opponent in no time? Why does he have to resort to these nerve-wracking maneuvers? After feeling helpless, she began to complain. He clearly had the ability to swiftly dispatch his opponent, yet he had to drag it out with these stunts. I wonder where he learned this from. HU, nearby, Goku touched his nose in confusion. Why did he sneeze out of nowhere? On the field, Gaara's eyes twitched as he watched Naruto dodge his volley of sand and rain in this manner. He felt deeply insulted. The other party's bizarre postures were like a mocking face. Lululu, is that all you've got? You can't even hit me. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.